Chapter 102. After Qin Feiyang entered the alchemy room, Changyi followed him into the alchemy room. The stone door wasn't closed. Lin Chen stood in the middle of the two alchemy rooms. He looked at Qin Feiyang and laughed secretly. I want to see what level of pills you can make. Luo Xiong and the other two sat on the chairs and closed their eyes to recover. The outcome was already decided. There was no need to watch. Everyone, why don't we have a bet? Zhang Haotian, 1 to 10. Cheng Yi 1 to 2. Fatso suddenly shouted with a wretched smile on his face. I'm not in the mood. Get lost. The surrounding disciples looked at each other angrily. It wasn't that Fatso wasn't welcomed. It was because they all wanted to enter the Danwang Hall. However, they obviously didn't have a chance to enter. There were more than 100 disciples fighting for the remaining 2 spots. The probability was too low. They didn't have the confidence to win. Therefore, they couldn't help but feel irritated. In the 2 alchemy rooms, the alchemy had already started. The 2's movements were very skillful. It wasn't an exaggeration to say that they were as smooth as flowing water. This is unbelievable. Genius Zhang Haotian has only been in the Danwang Hall for 2 months. His speed can actually keep up with Senior Cheng Yi? A few disciples discussed softly. Lin Chen was stunned. He said in surprise, What did you say? He's only been here for 2 months? Yeah. The few disciples nodded. Another disciple suddenly said, No, he's been outside this month. Therefore, he's only been refining pills for a month. He's so skillful in just a month? Lin Chen was dumbfounded. Could it be that this person was really an alchemy genius? No. Although his speed could keep up, the quality of the pills he made would definitely be inferior. He had a friendly smile on his face, but his heart was filled with coldness. However, they didn't know. Qin Feiyang had only been refining pills for a few days. The rest of the time, he was copying the return formula. 100 breaths passed. Cheng Yi waved his hand. A red pill flew out from the cauldron. He grabbed the pill and without even looking at it, turned around and walked out of the pill concoction room. He walked up to Lin Chen and presented the pill with both hands, his face filled with confidence. Lin Chen held it in his hand and looked at it. He nodded and said, Not bad. This healing pill can definitely be considered a high-grade pill. After getting Lin Chen's approval, the confidence on Chang Yi's face grew even stronger as he said with a smile, My lord, I'm afraid it's still too early for Zhang Haotian. You have a priceless body, so you'd better go sit outside and wait. I admit that I lost. But at this moment, a helpless voice sounded. Haha. Cheng Yi immediately laughed out loud. He turned around and saw Qin Feiyang walking out of the alchemy room. He crossed his arms in front of his chest and looked at Qin Feiyang. Even if you admit defeat, you have to take out the medicinal pills you refined and let everyone see how pathetic they are. Qin Feiyang was stunned. Could this person be stupid? He smiled faintly and said, I think you misunderstood my meaning. Actually, I'm saying that your flattery skills are really top-notch. I admit defeat. Hearing this, Cheng Yi's expression froze and his face immediately darkened. This is the medicinal pill I refined. Qin Feiyang casually threw a healing pill towards Lin Chen. Lin Chen raised his eyebrows without a trace. Obviously he, who was used to being flattered, was very unhappy with Qin Feiyang's current attitude. But the smile on his face was still the same. He grabbed the medicinal pill and hurriedly glanced at it. He smiled and said, This healing pill can at most be considered a low-grade medicinal pill. It's too different from the high-grade healing pill refined by Cheng Yi. Therefore, I now announce that the quota will be given to Cheng Yi. Phew. Cheng Yi let out a long breath and said, This disciple swears to be loyal to the Danwang Hall for the rest of my life. I swear to defend the dignity of the Danwang Hall with my life. Lin Chen nodded. Cheng Yi turned to look at Qin Feiyang and sneered. Do you still remember the bet from before? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Cheng Yi's eyes flashed coldly and said, Then let's fulfill our promise now. Since we're from the same sect, I'll let bygones be bygones if you break your own arms. Break my own arms? Qin Feiyang narrowed his eyes. This person wanted to kill him whenever he had the chance. Since that was the case, then let's see whose methods were more ruthless. He looked up at Lin Chen and smiled faintly. Look carefully again. Lin Chen smiled. A low-grade medicinal pill is a low-grade medicinal pill. The result will be the same no matter how many times I look at it. Is there a need to? Qin Feiyong really wanted to get along with this person politely. After all, if the Danwang Hall sent this person to be in charge of the assessment, then his status in the Danwang Hall must be high. However, this person did not take him seriously at all. Arrogant and self-righteous. Did he really think he was a big shot? Qin Feiyong's killing intent surged. He quickly drew out the Chang Shui and swung it at Chang Yi's neck like lightning. Ah! A painful scream rang out in the pill fire hall. Bam! The next moment, Chang Yi fell to the ground, clutching his neck. Blood spurted out from his throat. The surrounding disciples were stunned. Lu Hong's face turned pale. Even Fatso was tongue-tied. Isn't this bastard a little too daring? He actually killed Cheng Yi in the pill fire hall? Get out of the way! Elder Mo's roar was heard. Everyone shuddered and hurriedly retreated to the side. The three heavyweights ran over and looked at the dead Cheng Yi on the ground with gloomy expressions. The usual smile on Lin Chen's face disappeared without a trace. All that was left was anger. Zhang Haotian. He suddenly looked up at Qin Feiyong, his entire body cold and threatening. The temperature here plummeted as if winter had arrived. Everyone's pupils constricted and they involuntarily retreated. However, Qin Feiyong wasn't afraid in the slightest. He inclined his head and locked gazes with Lin Chen as he laughed mockingly. If the Pill Emperor Hall is filled with people as mediocre as you, I don't mind not joining the Pill Emperor Hall. With that, he turned and walked out of the hall without looking back. How dare you? Lin Chen was furious. He reached out his hand and grabbed at Qin Feiyong. You're the one who's being impudent. However, at this moment, Luo Xiong roared and threw a slap. Slap. With a crisp slap, Lin Chen flew out and smashed into the wall behind him, spitting out blood. There was a bright red palm print on his face. It even began to swell. The elixir fell out of his hand and onto the ground. How dare you hit me? Lin Chen was dumbfounded by the slap. Because you're from the Danwang Hall, I've been courteous these 2 days. But what about you? Acting all high and mighty all the time. Who do you think you are? Hitting you is still light. I'll kill you now. Luo Xiong took a step forward, murderous. Hallmaster, don't be rash. Let's talk things over. Seeing this, Feng Cheng and Elder Mo's expression changed. They quickly ran up and grabbed Luo Xiong's arm, anxiously persuading him. Let go of me right now. Luo Xiong shouted. Although he usually looked very amiable, once he was angry, even Feng Cheng and Elder Mo did not dare to act rashly. The two hurriedly let go. Luo Xiong strode in front of Lin Chen, lowered his head, and coldly looked at Lin Chen. When his eyes met Luo Xiong's, Lin Chen could not help but feel cold all over. Do you think I'm blind? Can't tell that you've been deliberately targeting Zhang Haotian? Just because I didn't say anything, it doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. Now, open your eyes wide and look clearly for this highness. Just what grade of medicinal pill is the medicinal pill that he refined? Luo Xiong shouted. Lin Chen's body trembled. He hurriedly opened his hand, only to find that the elixir was gone. It's beside your feet. Luo Xiong shouted. Lin Chen trembled. He quickly grabbed the elixir and looked at it carefully. What? This is. When he saw the elixir patterns on the elixir, it was as if he was struck by lightning. His body and mind trembled. It was actually a supreme-grade elixir with elixir patterns. Do you see it clearly now? If you see it clearly, then shout it out. Hurry! Luo Xiong shouted coldly. This healing elixir is... Lin Chen's face was filled with disbelief. He could not accept this terrifying fact. Do you need me to say it again? Luo Xiong's tone was low and cold. Lin Chen quivered and shouted, This is a supreme-grade elixir. As soon as he said that, the crowd was in an uproar. Zhang Haotian can actually refine a supreme-grade elixir? How long has he been in the pill hall? If that's the case, the supreme-grade elixir that Fatso sold previously was refined by Zhang Haotian? Too awesome. He's simply a genius in the alchemy world. No, only monstrous is enough to describe him. No wonder the Hall Master and the two elders like him so much. Looking at it now, Cheng Yi really overestimated himself. The shock in everyone's heart could no longer be described with words. Especially Lu Hong. She kept muttering the word supreme grade elixir. All of a sudden, she felt that she, Chang Yi, Ling Yan, and Ji Jin were like clowns. They thought that they were so great. They always mocked others and said that they got in because of connections. In reality, they didn't even put them in their eyes. How comical! Luo Xiong glanced at everyone and sneered. The ones who got in because of connections can actually refine supreme grade elixirs. Is it funny? Anyway, I think it's funny, but you're the one who's funny. Luo Xiong looked at Lin Chen again and sneered. You didn't even see it clearly and you jumped to a conclusion. I don't understand why the Danwang Hall would send trash like you to be in charge of the assessment. Trash? Lin Chen's heart was filled with anger. He roared, even if he can refine supreme grade elixirs, the fact that he killed Cheng Yi cannot be erased. You still dare to roar at me. If you didn't target him, would he have killed Cheng Yi out of anger? We're not deaf. Just now, he asked you to take a closer look. But because of your arrogance, not only did you not look, you even spoke rudely and maliciously hurt him. Now tell me, whose fault is this? Luo Xiong said sternly. Lin Chen immediately lost his temper. A person who can concoct a supreme grade elixir, especially one who just started learning how to concoct a supreme grade elixir, is extremely important to the pill hall. I don't need to tell you. You should be very clear about it. I still remember that in order to persuade him to join the pill hall, I, Old Feng, and Old Mo put in a lot of effort. But now, because of you, he doesn't want to go to the Danwang Hall. What do you think we should do? Let me tell you, if you can't make him change his mind, I can only report this matter to the Grand Hall Master. At that time, I'd like to see what will happen to you. Luo Xiong sneered and didn't stay any longer. But when he turned around he said, don't smile in the future. Otherwise people will hate you. Old Feng, Old Mo, you two stay and supervise the assessment. Understood. Feng Chung and Old Mo nodded. Chapter 103. After Luo Xiong left, Lin Chen collapsed on the ground powerlessly, his face full of horror. If this matter really reached the ears of the chief pavilion master of the county of Yan, he would be skinned even if he didn't die. Suddenly, he looked at Feng Chang and Elder Mo with a pleading expression and said, Elder Feng, Elder Mo, you must help me. This is not easy to help. Whoever tied the bell should untie it. Go find Jiang Haotian yourself. The two of them did not look happy. Fatso went up and chuckled. Master Lin Chen, who won now? The surrounding disciples rolled their eyes. Was there a need to ask? Of course it was Jiang Haotian. If even a person who could refine a supreme grade pill lost, then there must be an inside story. Fatso continued, Master Lin Chen, you agreed to the bet between Jiang Laoda and Cheng Yi, right? What are you trying to say? Lin Chen glared at him. What Fat Lord wants to say is that Jiang Laoda and Cheng Yi have an agreement. If Jiang Laoda wins and kills Cheng Yi, you can't do anything about it. But you're using this as a pretext. Don't you think you're hypocritical? Do you know what the hall master meant by that sentence? He's saying that when you laugh, you're asking for a beating. No, you're born to be asking for a beating. It has nothing to do with whether you laugh or not. When you're free, go for plastic surgery, lest you get beaten up by a crowd in the future. Fatso chuckled, his face full of disdain. Lin Chen's eyes were cold. But suddenly, he looked at Fatso from head to toe and his heart skipped a beat. He got up and dragged Fatso out of the hall, saying at the same time, Come with me. What do you want to do? Bully the weak. Bully the weak? Let me tell you in broad daylight, in front of everyone, Fat Lord is not afraid of you. Fatso shouted anxiously. It's a good thing. Lin Chen whispered. A good thing? Fatso was slightly stunned, and his heart suddenly bloomed with joy. Qin Feiyong sat alone in a pavilion. He couldn't figure it out. How did he offend this Lin Chen, to the point of making things difficult for him? So you're here, Jiang Laoda. Soon. Fatty ran over and said with a sinister smile, You finally killed Cheng Yi. You must be feeling great right now. Indeed. Qin Feiyong nodded and asked, Did the hall master say that he would hold me accountable? No. You're the Pill Palace's most popular person now. How could the palace master hold you accountable for a dead person? But Lin Chen was the of the pill palace of the hall of the hall? Of the hall of the palace of the hall. You didn't see how furious the palace master was earlier. If it weren't for the two elders holding him back, Lin Chen would have already gone to see the king of hell. Fatty said of S. When Luo Xiong flipped out, he hadn't left the pill fire hall, so he heard it. Fatso went to Qin Feiyang and asked sneakily, Jiang Laoda, are you really not going to the Danwang Hall? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded and said, I want to go to the Martial Emperor Hall now. With my strength, it shouldn't be a problem. What? To the Martial Emperor Hall. Fatso couldn't sit still anymore. Jiang Laoda, to tell you the truth, Lin Chen asked me to persuade you. He said that as long as I can make you change your mind, he will let me go to the Danwang Hall too. Boss, once you're the boss, you'll be the boss forever. You can't leave your little brother alone. I'm not like you. Whether it's martial arts or alchemy, I'm not as good as others. I have no hope of entering the Danwang Hall. This is such a good opportunity. Boss, you have to help me. Fatso hugged Qin Feiyang's arm, crying and acting like a spoiled child. Qin Feiyang's sleeve was covered with his snot and tears. Get out of my way. Qin Feiyang's face darkened as he hurriedly pushed Fatso away. This scene was too intimate. If he was seen by others, they would definitely misunderstand him as a homosexual. Fatso said, Promise me and I'll let go. Okay, I promise. Qin Feiyang nodded helplessly. Thank you, boss. Fatso was overjoyed and said in a coquettish voice, Get out. Qin Feiyang roared and kicked Fatso away. Then, he hurriedly got up and took off his shirt with a look of disgust. He took out a new linen shirt and quickly put it on. You hit me so hard. Do you still have a conscience? Fatso rubbed his chest and walked over, staring at Qin Feiyang bitterly. Damn Fatso, you're too disgusting. I'm going to cut ties with you. Qin Feiyang had goosebumps all over his body and hurriedly ran away. Cut ties? No way. Fat Lord has made up his mind to pester you for the rest of his life. You have to take responsibility for it. Fatso chuckled and quickly chased after him. Qin Feiyang felt powerless. Despicable people were probably talking about this kind of person. Fatso ran to Qin Feiyang's side with a wretched face and said, Boss, when are you going to see your fiancé? Fiancé? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Fatso was stunned and asked, Don't you know? Your fiancé also came to Black Bear City. Wait, what do you mean? When did I have a fiancé? Qin Feiyang frowned. Elder Feng's granddaughter. Fatso said. Qin Feiyang was stunned and shook his head, saying, She's not my fiancé. It's just a joke. The fatty said disdainfully, Keep pretending. Everyone in Black Bear City knows about this. I won't talk to you anymore. Lord Fatty will go to the Pill Fire Palace first. Although Lin Chen opened the back door for me, I still have to put on a show. Let's chat again when we have time. Qin Feiyang said, When we go back, don't say that I've already agreed. I'm still thinking about it. I understand. Fatso chuckled and ran toward the Pill Fire Palace. Fiancé, Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. It seemed that this joke had gone too far. After calming himself down, he changed direction and walked toward Luo Xiong's courtyard. Bastard, this is too infuriating. Luo Xiong sat alone on a stone bench, his face full of anger. A moment later, Qin Feiyang came to the door and cupped his hands, saying, Hallmaster, I have something to ask of you. Luo Xiong was stunned and hurriedly said, Come in. Qin Feiyang pushed the door open and walked to Luo Xiong's side. He lowered his head and said, Hallmaster, I was wrong just now. I shouldn't have killed Xueqi. Please punish me. Luo Xiong was silent for a moment and looked up with a smile, saying, This matter is over, but you must go to the Danwang Hall. This. Qin Feiyang hesitated. Luo Xiong asked, Are you worried that Lin Chen will take revenge on you? Qin Feiyang nodded. Sigh. To be honest, I'm worried too. With your talent in alchemy, you will definitely attract attention if you enter the Danwang Hall. But it's easier to dodge a spear in the open than a stab in the dark. After all, Lin Chen is not only a core disciple of the Danwang Hall, but also a member of the Lin family of Swallow City. Luo Xiong said. The Lin family of Swallow City. A cold light flashed in the depths of Qin Feiyong's eyes. Luo Xiong thought he was afraid and comforted him, saying, "Don't be so nervous. Before you go to the Danwang Hall, I will use the image crystal to inform the Grand Hall Master of Swallow City." Qin Feiyong said, "I will think about it." Luo Xiong frowned and nodded, saying, "All right, think about it carefully." "All right, why are you here?" Qin Feiyong said, "I want to ask if the pill hall has the recipe for the crimson fire-colored glass pill." The crimson fire-colored glass pill. Luo Xiong's eyes trembled as he asked, "Did you find the crimson fire-colored glass tree?" "No." Qin Feiyong shook his head. "Then why do you want the recipe?" Luo Xiong was puzzled. "I am just curious." Qin Feiyong said calmly. "The recipe." Luo Xiong thought for a while and shook his head, saying, "Everyone knows how precious the crimson fire-colored glass pill is. Therefore, only the Danwang Hall has the recipe. In that case, I will not disturb you any longer." Qin Feiyong cupped his hands, turned around, and strode out of the courtyard. He was sure that the pill hall had the recipe. He knew what Luo Xiong was thinking. Luo Xiong wanted him to go to the Danwang Hall. Therefore, it was useless to continue. He went to an empty corner and entered the castle. He began to copy the fifth stroke of the Huan character formula. In the evening, the pill fire hall's test was finally over. The remaining 2 spots were taken by Lu Hong and Fatso. This result caused the disciples to be rather shocked. Lu Hong had level 5 mental power and her talent in alchemy was not bad. It was not strange for her to win a spot. However, Fatso's talent was not good and he did not work hard. How could he win? However, this was the result announced by Lin Chen himself. Feng Cheng and Luo Xiong were supervising, so no one dared to question it. Perhaps this fatty was just like Zhang Haotian, pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. After the test ended, the disciples dispersed. The news of Qin Feiyong refining the supreme grade pill spread like wildfire in Black Bear City. So the supreme grade pill was refined by Zhang Haotian. No wonder Luo Xiong wanted Zhang Haotian to join the pill hall by hook or by crook. The whole city was in an uproar. All the leaders were shocked. The city lord's mansion. What? The supreme grade pill was refined by this little bastard. The city lord heard the guard's report and stood up with a face of disbelief. This news was spread by the disciples of the pill hall. It can't be fake. A guard knelt on the ground and said respectfully. The city lord clenched his fists. His eyes were filled with killing intent. Bang! At this time, the door was knocked open. 2 middle-aged men hurriedly walked in. They were the patriarchs of the Jiang and Mu families. "City Lord, you also heard about it. What should we do now?" The 2 walked in front of the City Lord and asked in panic. Because they were very clear about the value of an alchemist who can refine the supreme grade pill. This kind of person can only be complimented and not offended. But now they offended him. So they must find a way to solve this problem as soon as possible. The City Lord said without hesitation, "This kid can't be left alive. Otherwise, there will be endless trouble." Mu Jia's lord said, "I also want to kill him because my 2 sons must have been killed by him. But now he's in the pill hall. We have no chance to do it." Jiang Clan's lord frowned and said, "Mu Fei and Mu Yang may not be killed by Zhang Haotian. Why don't we apologize to him? Maybe we can save him." "Impossible," the city lord and Mu Jia's lord said at the same time. Jiang Clan's lord asked, "Then tell me, how can we get rid of him?" "There must be a way." A cold light flashed in the city lord's eyes. He turned his head and looked at the guard next to him. He ordered, "Take some people to monitor the pill hall. Once Zhang Haotian leaves the pill hall, come back and report immediately." "Yes." The guard nodded and quickly ran out. The city lord looked at Jiang Clan's lord and Mu Yang and comforted them. "Don't worry. Even if there's no chance now, we can do it on their way to Yen City." Mu Jia's lord said, "Then we'll go back and wait for the news." "Okay." The city lord nodded. Chapter 104. Zhang Clan head was worried all the way. After returning to the Zhang Clan, he sat beside the tea table in the meeting hall. The more he thought about it, the more irritated he became. Suddenly, he shouted at the door, "Go and call Jiang Wei and the Great Elder." "Yes." A servant responded respectfully and immediately turned around and ran towards the backyard. After a while, Jiang Wei and the Great Elder came to the meeting hall. Jiang Wei asked, "Father, why did you call us in such a hurry? Did something happen?" The Great Elder was also puzzled. Jiang clan head said, "Jiang Haotian's matter. You all know about it." The two nodded. Jiang clan head said, "I just went to see the city lord. The city lord and the Mujia's lord still want to continue to assassinate Jiang Haotian, but I have some hesitation, so I want to ask your opinion. Do we have any other choice now?" The Great Elder asked. Jiang Wei said, "Jiang Haotian is a vengeful man. We have tried to kill him again and again. I'm afraid he won't let it go." Sigh. Jiang clan head sighed deeply. "I understand what you said, but he is now the general trend. If we want to kill him again, it's tantamount to a moth to the flame." Jiang Wei was surprised. "Father, do you want to ask for peace?" "Yes." Jiang clan head nodded. "No." The Great Elder flatly refused. Jiang clan head said, "I know what you hate. Jiang Haotian caused you to lose your arm. He also killed Jiang Sen and the others. But have you thought about it? In fact, we have only ourselves to blame." The Great Elder was silent. "We are different from the Mujia and the Ling clan. They have no backing behind them. They can only rely on the city lord. But behind the Jiang clan, there is still my second brother. Although he can't be relied on usually, but when the fate of the clan is at stake, he will certainly not sit back and do nothing. So from the beginning, we shouldn't have been in cahoots with the city lord." Jiang clan head's face was full of regret. The second brother he mentioned is Luo Qingzhu's father, the chief pavilion lord of the Yan County Treasure Pavilion. Jiang Wei asked, "So what is it now? Or is it a mistake?" "We can't continue to make mistakes." Patriarch Jiang shook his head. His eyes flashed as he said, "I've decided to ask for peace." The Grand Elder said in a low voice, "Even if we take the initiative to ask for peace, Jiang Haotian might not agree." "No, as long as we show our sincerity, he will definitely nod his head. After all, his relationship with Qingzhu is not shallow. The most important thing is that he can refine top-quality pills now. In the future, he will definitely have great achievements. In addition to his relationship with Qingzhu, maybe when the time comes, we can use this relationship to resolve the conflict between me and second brother." Patriarch Jiang said. The Grand Elder's eyes lit up. Patriarch Jiang looked at the Grand Elder and asked, "What do you think?" The Great Clan Elder muttered to himself for a moment before letting out a long sigh. "As long as it can alleviate the conflict between us and second brother, lowering our heads and begging for peace is worth it." Patriarch Jiang smiled. "All right, I'll go look for him now." Jiang Wei said, "Father, let me go." "You?" Patriarch Jiang looked at him suspiciously. Jiang Wei patted his chest and said solemnly, "I promise to complete the mission." The Grand Elder smiled. "Just let him go. After all, they are all young people. There is no generation gap. Moreover, if this kid can build a good relationship with Jiang Haotian, it will definitely be a great help to him in the future." Patriarch Jiang frowned. Finally, he nodded in agreement and said, "I'll say this first. If you ruin the plan, I will beat you to death when you come back. Go quickly." So ruthless. Is he still my father? Jiang Wei mumbled unhappily. "Where is my fiancé?" Somewhere in the Pill Palace, a delicate voice sounded. It was like the roar of a lion from the east of the river, resounding through the night sky. The masked lady was holding an umbrella and angrily walking towards Feng Cheng's courtyard. Ling Yunfei brought his mother and followed behind the masked lady. His face was full of bitter smiles. His fiancée came to find him? Hee. There will definitely be a good show to watch later. Fatso ran over stealthily as if he wanted to see the world in chaos. At the same time, Qin Feiyang also heard the lady's shout. A bitter smile appeared on his face. What he was worried about finally came. He closed the iron book and listened carefully for a while. When he didn't hear any footsteps, he left the ancient castle and walked slowly along the small path. In front of the courtyard, the masked lady kicked open the courtyard's door like a fierce tigress. Feng Qing opened the door and looked at the masked lady unhappily. "This is the Pill Palace's important place. How can you barge in like this? Where is your manners?" "Don't try to change the topic." The masked lady quickly walked forward and grabbed Feng Cheng's beard. She walked into the attic and stood in the middle of the hall. She said angrily, "Tell me, why do I have a fiancé?" "Ouch, ouch, ouch. Girl, let go. Let go." Feng Cheng roared. Ling Yunfei and his mother stood at the side and couldn't help but laugh. Luo Xiong and Elder Mo heard the commotion and immediately rushed over. When they saw this scene, they immediately revealed a playful smile. "Greetings to the two lords." Ling Yunfei cupped his hands and said, "Don't be so polite in private." Luo Xiong smiled. He looked at Ling Yunfei's mother and said, "If I remember correctly, you're called Lu Ji, right?" "Yes." Lu Ji nodded. She was a little flattered. Seeing this, Ling Yunfei grabbed his mother's hand. He looked at Luo Xiong, Feng Cheng and Elder Mo and bowed. "I haven't had the chance to meet the three of you. I heard that senior sister Feng is coming to the Pill Palace. So, I brought my mother here shamelessly to thank you in person. Thank you for helping me save my mother. I, Ling Yunfei, will never forget this kindness." Ling Yunfei said solemnly. Luo Xiong revealed a gratified smile and said, "The one you should thank the most is Zhang Haotian." "Indeed." Ling Yunfei nodded. "I say, are you done chatting? This girl is crazy. Come and help her." Feng Cheng roared angrily. The few of them looked at each other and smiled. Luo Xiong shook his head and said, "This is your family matter. We can't help you." Then, he and Elder Mo crossed their arms, as if they were ready to watch a show. Ling Yunfei and his mother naturally didn't dare to interfere. "You have no loyalty." Feng Cheng glared at Luo Xiong and Elder Mo. After Luo Xiong appeared, the masked woman also restrained herself a lot. She let go of her hand and bowed to Luo Xiong and Elder Mo. The two of them also smiled and nodded. The masked woman turned her head and stared at Feng Cheng. She snorted and said, "You've only been in the Martial Imperial Palace for less than 2 years, and you actually have a fiancé out of nowhere." Feng Cheng laughed embarrassedly. "Girl, you can't blame grandfather for this. It's all Zhang Haotian's fault. If you want to find him, go find him. Even if you peel off his skin, grandfather won't blame you." "Zhang Haotian." The masked woman frowned and gritted her teeth. This woman can't be provoked. Qin Feiyong hid outside the door and muttered secretly. In fact, he had arrived long ago. But when he saw that Feng Cheng's granddaughter was actually the masked woman he met yesterday, he didn't dare to go in. Because this woman was simply too valiant. Jiang Wei's fate was still vivid in his mind. He didn't want to eat dirt in front of everyone. "Call Ling Yunfei out and let's go." He bent down and poked his head out, looking at the people in the hall. At this time, Fatso sneaked into the courtyard like a thief. Seeing Qin Feiyong acting sneakily at the door, his eyes brightened. He quietly walked over to Qin Feiyong's back and stuck his head out to look inside. "So many people?" He scratched his head and patted Qin Feiyong's shoulder. He asked, "What are you doing hiding here? Don't you want to go in and see your fiancé?" Qin Feiyong's body stiffened. This damn Fatso, when did he come? The people in the hall all turned their heads to look at the door. When they saw Qin Feiyong and Fatso, they couldn't help but be stunned. Qin Feiyong smiled embarrassedly. He had never felt so awkward before. He stood up straight and stared at Fatso fiercely. "What's going on?" Fatso was a bit confused. "I'll deal with you later." Qin Feiyong snorted coldly. He turned around and walked into the hall. He smiled and said that. "Hello everyone. We're very good." Luo Xiong nodded. There was a trace of an evil smile on his face, as if he was saying, "Kid, you're in big trouble this time." Qin Feiyong's smile froze. But it instantly recovered. He turned his head to look at the masked woman. His eyes met with that pair of cold eyes. His body tensed up. He smiled embarrassedly and said, "Miss, this is a misunderstanding. Let me explain." Without waiting for him to finish, the masked woman said, "There's nothing to explain. If I didn't remember wrongly, the pill hall has a pig cage, right? Go to the pig cage and stay there for a few days." After saying that, she took a step forward and instantly landed in front of Qin Feiyong. She reached out her hand and grabbed towards Qin Feiyong's shoulder. "She's indeed a difficult woman," Qin Feiyong mumbled. He used the shifting smoke steps without hesitation and quickly retreated. He didn't want to go to the pig cage. Seeing Qin Feiyong dodging, the masked woman was surprised. You have some skills. But you don't have the ability to escape from me. The masked woman smiled coldly. She caught up with Qin Feiyong in one step. Her hand reached out like lightning and grabbed his wrist. Her 5 fingers were like jade. Her skin was like cream. It gave Qin Feiyong a very comfortable feeling. But at this moment, he didn't have the mood to feel it. He smiled and said, "Miss, men and women shouldn't touch each other. Aren't you my fiancé? Does it matter?" The masked woman smiled playfully. Qin Feiyong hurriedly said, "This is really a misunderstanding. Ling Er, it's really you." However, at this time, a pleasantly surprised voice came from outside the door. Everyone looked over and saw Lin Chen running over in large strides. Qin Feiyong was surprised. When he saw Lin Chen, he actually felt that the masked woman's arm was slightly stiff. Could it be that the two know each other? Qin Feiyong mumbled. Lin Chen ran into the hall and saw that the woman was actually grabbing onto Qin Feiyong's hand. A hint of ruthlessness flashed across his eyes. This time, Qin Feiyong clearly caught it. He suddenly came to a realization. If he didn't guess wrong, Lin Chen definitely liked this tigress. Therefore, when he heard those rumors, Lin Chen regarded him as a love rival and targeted him everywhere. Thinking of this, Qin Feiyong was angry and wanted to laugh at the same time. He didn't expect that a casual sentence would actually lead to an unexpected disaster. Chapter 105. However, Lin Chen's arrival gave him a glimmer of hope. Lin Chen concealed it very well. His face was instantly filled with smiles. He took a step forward and stood between Qin Feiyong and the masked woman. The masked woman had no choice but to let go of Qin Feiyong. Lin Chen asked, "Ling Er, what are you doing in Black Bear City?" The masked woman frowned. "Is it related to you?" Lin Chen laughed. "If you had told me in advance, we could have traveled together." "No need, I know the way," the masked woman said indifferently. It was obvious that she didn't like this person. But Lin Chen didn't mind at all, and laughed. "How about we return to Yen City together tomorrow?" "We'll talk about it tomorrow," the masked woman said coldly. During the conversation, Qin Feiyong gave a look to Ling Yunfei and Fatso. The two of them understood. Thus, the few of them sneaked away. But just as Qin Feiyong stepped out of the door, the masked woman noticed and shouted, "Zhang Haotian, where do you want to go?" "You guys chat, I still have things to do, so I'll be leaving first," Qin Feiyong said without turning his head, then used Luo Yan's steps and ran outside as if he was running for his life. "Bastard, stop right there." The masked woman shouted and was about to give chase. But at this time, Lin Chen's eyes flashed. He stood in front of her and laughed. "Ling Er, this is my first time in Black Bear City. I'm unfamiliar with this place. You grew up here, so you must be very familiar with this place. Why don't you take me around?" Ling Yunfei looked at Lin Chen, then turned to look at Luo Xiong and the other two, cupping his hands and saying, "3 seniors, this junior will also take his leave." Fatso followed. "This disciple will not disturb you any longer." Then, Ling Yunfei brought his mother and Fatso and quickly left the courtyard, chasing after Qin Feiyong. The masked woman frowned and wanted to go around Lin Chen, but Lin Chen stood in front of her and laughed. "Ling Er, let's go for a walk." This time, the masked woman was furious and shouted, "Walk your sister, can't you see that it's raining outside? If you want to go shopping, you can go by yourself." Lin Chen smiled. "Walking in the rain is more romantic. Who wants to be romantic with you?" The masked woman cursed angrily. What the hell? Why was she so unlucky to run into this idiot? Beside him, Feng Cheng was also frowning. He appeared to be in a bad mood. Luo Xiong and Elder Mo looked at each other and remained silent. However, there was a playful look in his eyes. On the small path, looking around, Fatso chuckled. "Zhang Laoda is really lucky to find such a ferocious fiancé. I'm really worried for him in the future." "You're gloating." Ling Yunfei rolled his eyes and shook his head. "However, this woman is indeed not someone an ordinary man can handle." "Yunfei, you can't talk about him like that. After all, Miss Ling Er is your senior. In the future, you'll have to rely on her to take care of you in Danwang Hall. What's more, Miss Ling Er only has a bad temper. She's still quite kind." Ling Yunfei's mother reprimanded. "You're right, mother." Ling Yunfei hurriedly nodded. I'm here. At this moment, Qin Feiyong's voice suddenly sounded. Fatso and the other two turned around and couldn't help but laugh. They saw Qin Feiyong hiding behind a small tree, looking behind the three of them. His whole body was already drenched. Ling Yunfei shook his head. Don't look. She was stopped by Lin Chen and didn't chase after us. Phew. Qin Feiyong let out a long breath and walked out from behind the small tree. Fatso said disdainfully, Jiang Laoda, back then, when Ling Yunfei and Ling Sheng were fighting, you were able to face so many big shots without batting an eyelid. Why are you afraid of a little girl now? You're really a disgrace to us men. If it was me, I would directly push her down and do her on the spot. Qin Feiyong's face twitched. Don't just talk about it. If you have the guts, go ahead. Fatso's face immediately turned green. He laughed dryly and said, Fat Lord wants to, but there's no other way. Who told her to be my future sister-in-law? This difficult task should be completed by you. Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes at him and looked at Ling Yunfei's mother. He smiled and said, Hello, Auntie. I made a fool of myself just now. Lu Ji smiled and said, Don't say that. Young people have their frivolous moments. Frivolous? Qin Feiyong was stunned and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Lu Ji asked, Can I call you Haotian? Of course. Qin Feiyong nodded. Lu Ji said, Haotian, Yunfei told me about how you helped us. I'm really grateful to you. It's Yunfei's greatest fortune to be able to meet a friend like you. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, Auntie, you're too serious. It's just a small matter. Sensible and polite. You're really a good child. Lu Ji's face was full of smiles. She liked Qin Feiyong very much. She sighed and said, If Yunfei is half as promising as you, then I can also smile in the underworld. Ling Yunfei said with dissatisfaction, Mother, your son is not bad either. Also, don't say such inauspicious things in the future. You will definitely live a long life. Yes. Lu Ji nodded with a face full of love. Looking at this warm scene, Qin Feiyong couldn't help but think of a dignified figure. He looked up at the dark night sky and murmured, Mother, how are you in the capital? Ling Yunfei suddenly patted him on the shoulder and said with a smile, Mother asked me to book a banquet at Spring Breeze restaurant. First, to thank you. Second, to give us a farewell dinner. How about it? Give me some face. Auntie came in person. Of course I have to go. Qin Feiyong calmed himself down and nodded with a smile. Fatso hurriedly said, Then what about me? Don't forget that Fat Lord helped me a lot in the past. Ling Yunfei shook his head and said with a smile, I won't forget you. I will definitely have a few drinks with you later. I will accompany you to the end. Fatso chuckled. The four of them held 2 umbrellas and left the Pill Palace while chatting and laughing. In the rainy night, 2 black figures were sneakily following behind the 4 of them. However, there was another person behind the 2 black figures. He was wearing a cloak and a black mask on his face. His face couldn't be seen clearly. Fatso frowned and said in a low voice, Zhang Haotian, Ling Yunfei, do you feel it? Yes. The 2 of them replied and secretly glanced behind them. There was actually someone on the street in such a heavy rain. Moreover, he was following behind them. No matter how they looked at it, it didn't seem normal. What's wrong? Lu Ji was puzzled and turned to look. Ling Yunfei hurriedly pulled her and said with a smile, Mother, it's nothing. Let's go. After saying that, he gave Qin Feiyong and Fatso a look. The 2 of them nodded. Ling Yunfei did this because he didn't want his mother to worry. After a while, the 4 of them finally arrived at Spring Wind Restaurant. This was the largest, most luxurious, and most high-class restaurant in Black Bear City. Of course, the cost was also the highest. The people who came in and out were basically the children of wealthy families. Qin Feiyong and the other 2 were also considered famous people in Black Bear City. When the restaurant waiter saw them, he immediately greeted them warmly and said with a smile, The 4 of you, please come in. Ling Yunfei asked, Where is the private room I booked? The waiter smiled and said, It's on the 2nd floor. Give me the umbrella first. Qin Feiyong and Fatso kept the umbrella and passed it to the waiter. At the same time, Qin Feiyong turned his head and looked outside. He saw the 2 black shadows standing across the street, looking at them. Seeing him look, the 2 hurriedly turned their heads and walked forward. Qin Feiyong raised the corner of his mouth and a cold light flashed through his eyes. After the waiter put the umbrella on a shelf outside the door, he ran in and led the four of them to the second floor and into a private room. At the same time, the two black shadows turned back and stood outside the door of Spring Wind Restaurant, looking up at the second floor. They were two big men, about 40 years old. Their bodies were very sturdy, and there was a scar on their face, which looked a little hideous and scary. A waiter at the counter saw the two of them and came forward with a puzzled look, asking, "The two of you, would you like to eat?" The two of them retracted their gaze, ignored the waiter, and turned away. "It's really strange." The shop assistant was taken aback. He scratched his head and mumbled before continuing to work. Inside the private room, Qin Feiyong glanced around. The decoration here was quite luxurious and the space was very large. Not only was there a restaurant, but there was also a separate tea room. The waiter asked, "What would you like to order?" Ling Yunfei said, "Give me one of your special dishes, 3 bottles of wine, and a glass of juice." The waiter shouted, turned around and walked out of the private room, and closed the door. At this time, the masked man, after taking off his cloak, also walked into Spring Wind Restaurant. "Why are there so many strange people today?" The waiter behind the counter saw the masked man, frowned slightly, and asked, "Sir, do you have a reservation?" "I have an appointment with someone," the masked man said. The waiter said, "What's the number of the private room? I'll take you up." "No, I can go up by myself." The masked man waved his hand and went straight to the second floor. He came to Qin Feiyong's private room and directly pushed the door open. Immediately, 3 cold gazes landed on him. The masked man felt a chill on his back. After closing the door, he hurriedly turned around and saw Qin Feiyong and the other two standing in front of him, their eyes all flashing with cold light. He looked at Qin Feiyong and waved his hand. "Don't do it, it's me." "Ha! Why does this voice sound familiar?" Qin Feiyong and the other two looked at each other with a trace of doubt on their faces. The masked man took off the black mask on his face, revealing a familiar face. It was Jiang Wei. Ling Yunfei frowned and said, "Why are you following us sneakily?" Fatty shouted, "Tell me, is there some kind of scheme or something?" "Let me tell you, Fat Lord is not to be trifled with." "No, no, no." Jiang Wei waved his hand and smiled flatteringly. "If I have any conspiracy, I won't break in directly. In fact, I have something to discuss with my brother." Fatso was stunned and wondered, "Who is your brother?" "Jiang Haotian." Jiang Wei chuckled. Fatso said in surprise, "Ah, you're actually half-brothers? Stop talking nonsense." Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes at him and said to Ling Yunfei in a low voice, "It's a bit strange tonight. Take your mother out and arrange another private room. It's best if it's far away from here so that she won't be frightened." "Okay." Ling Yunfei nodded and turned to whisper a few words to Lu Ji. Lu Ji looked at them in confusion and didn't say anything. Chapter 106. Fatso closed the door. Qin Feiyong said. Fatso quickly ran to close the door, then turned around and stared at Jiang Wei maliciously. "Brother Fatty, believe me, I really don't have any evil intentions. I came with sincerity." Jiang Wei looked panicked and kept retreating. "Sincerity?" Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed. He shouted, "Fatso, don't mess around." Fatso smirked. "You better not have any evil intentions, otherwise, Fat Lord promises to make your chrysanthemum bloom." Jiang Wei immediately clenched his legs, like a frightened mouse. Qin Feiyong sat at the table and said, "Show me your sincerity." Jiang Wei quickly turned around and said, "The City Lord and the Mujia's Lord want to assassinate you tonight. The 2 people behind you just now are the City Lord's confidants." The fatty shouted, "Preposterous! Are they done yet?" Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows and said, "Why did you tell me? You and your family are so kind?" Jiang Wei smiled bitterly. "To tell you the truth, it was my father who asked me to make peace with you." "Make peace?" Qin Feiyong was surprised. Jiang Wei said, "To be honest, my father is regretting it now. He asked me to get your forgiveness no matter what." Fatso reminded him. "Jiang Laoda, be careful, this may be a trick." "No, why don't you believe me? I'm really here to make peace." Jiang Wei was incomparably anxious. He looked at Qin Feiyong and pleaded, even if you don't give face to the monk, give face to the Buddha. For the sake of my cousin, can we reconcile? If you still don't believe me, I'll let my father and the elders come in person to help you deal with the city lord and the Mujia, he added. Qin Feiyong was silent for a while and nodded. Okay, I'll believe you this time. Jiang Wei breathed a sigh of relief. Qin Feiyong lowered his head and pondered. Although he was about to leave Black Bear City, he had to get rid of this city lord. Otherwise, the consequences would be endless. Originally, he was still worried that he wouldn't be able to find an opportunity. However, he didn't expect that the Jiang family would help him. However, they still needed a perfect plan. Because there was only one chance, failure was not an option. Suddenly, he noticed that there was a window to the side and behind him. He got up, walked to the window, and gently pushed it open. Torrential rain poured down, and a cool breeze blew against his face. Qin Feiyong craned his neck to take a look. Below him was a very narrow alley. This was the back alley of the restaurant. Not to mention a rainstorm, even if it was a sunny day, very few people would come here. Looking down at the alley, Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed. He turned to look at Fatso and spoke in a deep voice. Do me a favor. Go and look for the Hall Master, Martial Arts Hall Master, and Treasure Pavilion Master immediately. Tell them that I invited them to watch a good show. Remember, don't let anyone see it. All right. Fatso nodded, jumped down from the window, landed in the alley, and quickly disappeared into the rainy night. What do you want to do? Jiang Wei was surprised. What? Qin Feiyong smiled coldly and said, Tonight, I want to eliminate all these hidden dangers. Jiang Wei's eyes lit up. This was a good opportunity. Nah. The Ling family had been destroyed. If the Mu family was also destroyed tonight, then wouldn't Black Bear City be the world of the Jiang family? I'll go back first. After saying that, Jiang Wei also left the alley. At this time, Ling Yunfei entered the private room and asked doubtfully, Where's Jiang Wei? What is he doing here? Let's talk about it later. Go and follow him first. See if he really went back to the Jiang family. Go down from here. Qin Feiyong pointed to the window. Ling Yunfei was stunned and quickly jumped down from the window and ran in the direction of the Jiang family. Dong dong. At this time, there was a knock on the door. Who is it? Qin Feiyong frowned. Young Master Jiang, it's me. I'm here to deliver wine and food. The waiter's voice came from outside. Send it to another private room. Qin Feiyong said. Okay. The waiter replied. Wait a minute. Qin Feiyong suddenly said. Young master, do you have any other orders? The waiter asked. Qin Feiyong got up and opened the door. The waiter was standing outside the door with a tray. Qin Feiyong went out and took the 3 pots of wine on the tray. He smiled and said, You can go now. By the way, don't disturb us without my orders. Yes. The waiter respectfully responded and turned to leave. Qin Feiyong returned to the private room, closed the door and windows, put the 3 pots of wine on the table, and took out the Qianquan bag. With a wave of his hand, the corpses of 2 beasts suddenly appeared on the ground. It was the corpses of the beasts that the Black Bear King had given him. He had originally thought that he would no longer be of any use. But he didn't expect that it would finally be useful today. Next, he took out the Chong Shui and began to get busy. In the private room, a pungent smell of blood quickly filled the air. Soon, Qin Feiyong made 2 blood bags. And he also made 2 animal skin tops. Next, he picked up the 2 animal skin tops and put them out of the window to let the rain wash them. After a while, the blood stains on the animal skin tops were washed clean. He shook it hard to shake off the excess rainwater, and then carefully looked at it. Although the workmanship was rough, he was quite satisfied. Next, he washed the bloodstains on the 2 blood bags again. Then, he put away the corpses of the 2 beasts and went to the tea room to find a rag. After wiping the blood on the floor, he directly threw the rag out of the window. After a while, Fatso led Luo Xiong, the martial arts hallmaster, and the treasure pavilion master in through the window. The treasure pavilion master glanced at the private room, then looked at Qin Feiyong and said unkindly, Kid, did you see that? We have all become drowned rats. If you don't have a good show for us to watch later, then don't blame me for being hostile. The most important thing was, they were all people with status, and they were actually allowed to climb through the window? If this were to spread out, who knew how many people would talk about them behind their backs? Qin Feiyong smiled and said, I promise that I won't let you down. What is this? Fatso walked to the front of the animal skin tops and blood bags and looked at them curiously. Luo Xiong and the other two were also puzzled. At this time, Ling Yunfei, Jiang Wei, and the Grand Elder also came in through the window. Ha! Luo Xiong and the other two were stunned. Why did even the Jiang family come? And they were also sneaky? Greetings to the three lords. Jiang Wei and the Grand Elder bowed. The three nodded. The Grand Elder looked at Qin Feiyong and apologized. Some time ago, I am really sorry. This time I came, I hope I can do something. Let's not talk about the past. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly and asked, where is the Jiang family head? Father is now in the City Lord Mansion. Jiang Wei said with some worry. Why is he still going to the City Lord Mansion? Qin Feiyong frowned. Don't get me wrong, it's because if Father doesn't go, the City Lord and the Mu family head will definitely be suspicious. Maybe they will change their plan. Jiang Wei hurriedly explained. So that's the case. Qin Feiyong suddenly understood and comforted him. Don't worry, your father is the head of the family, he will definitely be able to deal with it. After the matter here is dealt with, we will immediately go to the City Lord Mansion. Jiang Wei nodded. Immediately. Qin Feiyong directly lifted the tablecloth and grinned at Luo Xiong and the others. I have to trouble you, Grand Elder, Jiang Wei, Fatso, you have to hide inside. What? You want us to hide under the table? Boy, don't push your luck, I'm telling you. Luo Xiong's face turned black on the spot. I have no choice. Although this place is big, the only place to hide people is under the table. Qin Feiyong smiled bitterly. Knock knock. At this time, there was another knock on the door. Qin Feiyong made a silent gesture to Luo Xiong and the others. Seeing this, Luo Xiong and the others also frowned and looked at the door. The whole room was dead silent in an instant. Qin Feiyong asked, Who is it? Lord, we are here to deliver wine. A strange voice sounded outside. And Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows. Before, he clearly told the waiter not to disturb him. And the wine had already been delivered. What wine was there to deliver? Something was wrong. Qin Feiyong's heart sank and said, You may have made a mistake, our wine has been delivered. The man outside said, It's like this, our shopkeeper said that you are honored guests, and asked us to send a few more pots. Do you charge? Qin Feiyong asked. The man outside replied, The shopkeeper said that it is free of charge. Honored guests? Free. Qin Feiyong frowned. Originally, he thought that it was someone from the City Lord's mansion. But when he heard that the wine was sent by the shopkeeper, he was a little confused. After all, the news that he had refined the best quality pill had already spread in Black Bear City, and it was not impossible for the shopkeeper of Spring Breeze House to curry favor with him. Whether it's true or not, it's always right to take precautions. Qin Feiyong muttered and said to the door, Wait a moment. He looked at Luo Xiong and the others and whispered, There's no time, you guys hide inside. Bastard. I'll deal with you later. Luo Xiong glared at him fiercely and crawled under the table. The martial arts hall master, treasure pavilion master, Jiang Wei, the Grand Elder, and Fatso all followed. Fortunately, the table was big enough, or there would not be enough space. After putting down the tablecloth, Qin Feiyong took off his shirt and said to Ling Yunfei, Quickly put on the beast skin clothes and put the blood bag on your heart. Ling Yunfei's mind was full of doubts, but he did not ask anything and quickly took off his clothes. After putting on the beast skin clothes, the two of them put on their clothes again and put the blood bag on their heart. After doing all this, Qin Feiyong whispered a few words in Ling Yunfei's ear. Ling Yunfei's eyes suddenly became cold, but he immediately covered it up. Then, the two of them sat at the table and each picked up a wine pot. Qin Feiyong said lightly, Come in. The door was immediately pushed open. 3 waiters walked in one after another. Each of them carried a tray with 3 pots of wine on it. And, seeing that there was only Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei in the private room, the 3 of them were slightly stunned. One of them asked, Young Master Ling, where's your mother? And where's that fat lord? Why don't I see them? Qin Feiyong and Luo Xiong shuddered. As a waiter of a restaurant, It was impossible for him to ask such a question in front of an important guest. Ling Yunfei smiled calmly. They have something to do and went out. Oh right, why haven't I seen you before? Are you new here? One of them smiled. Yes, we just arrived yesterday. Hearing this answer, the two of them immediately knew. Chapter 107. Generally speaking, the newcomers would not understand many things and would need a veteran to guide them for a period of time. Especially for a big restaurant like Spring Breeze Restaurant, the requirements for the waiters were very strict. It was impossible to let the newcomers entertain the distinguished guests alone. It was even more impossible to let the three newcomers entertain them. Besides, it was just a few pots of wine. Was there a need for the three of them to come together? There was no need at all. Therefore, there was a problem with the three of them. The three of them carried the tray and strode to the dining table. After putting the tray on the table, the three of them looked at each other with murderous intent in their eyes. But at this moment, Qin Feiyong's finger moved slightly and knocked over the wine pot, causing it to roll on the ground. The floor was covered with carpet, so the wine pot did not break. Seeing this, the three of them came over to help pick it up. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly and said, "It's okay. I can pick it up myself." He bent down and lifted the tablecloth so that he was face to face with Luo Xiong. He whispered, "No matter what happens later, don't come out." His voice was so soft that only Luo Xiong could hear it. After finishing his words, Qin Feiyong grabbed the wine pot, put down the tablecloth, and sat up. At this moment, two of them abruptly leapt up. "What are you doing?" Qin Feiyong and Luo Xiong were shocked and angry. The two of them did not say a word, but a cruel smile appeared on their faces. They stretched out their arms. True qi surged in their palms. They slapped at Qin Feiyong and Luo Xiong. "Damn it!" Qin Feiyong and Luo Xiong roared and hurriedly got up to escape. Just as they got up, the two of them slapped at their chest. Ah! With a scream, they flew out horizontally and crashed into the wall behind them. Bang! A big hole appeared in the wall. Like two meteorites, they fell into the alley. Hearing the commotion, the martial arts hall panicked and was about to rush out. Luo Xiong grabbed him and shook his head. He also signaled to the others not to go out. The three waiters walked to the hole and looked down. They saw Qin Feiyong and Luo Xiong with their eyes closed and blood spurting out from their chest. At this moment, they looked like two bloody men. Even the puddles around them were dyed red. Da-da! At this moment, the sound of messy footsteps could be heard. It was obvious that the noise just now had alarmed the people of Spring Wind House. The three assistants looked at each other and jumped down from the hole, quickly disappearing into the rainy night. Dong! A series of urgent knocks sounded on the door. "Young Master Jiang, what happened?" "Young Master Jiang, are you there? If you don't answer, we're going to knock the door down." With a bang, the door was knocked open and 6 workers swarmed in. How could this be? Seeing the blood all over the floor, and the big hole in the wall, all 6 of them turned pale. Cough. Suddenly, 2 coughs came from the alley. The 6 of them hurriedly ran over, and when they lowered their heads to take a look, their bodies trembled. The waiter who served Qin Feiyong and Ling Yun jumped down and landed beside Qin Feiyong and Ling Yun, asking anxiously, "Young Master Jiang, young Master Ling, are you all right?" Qin Feiyong opened his eyes and shook his head. "I'm fine." Ling Yunfei also opened his eyes. The two of them weren't putting on an act. They were seriously injured. They were really unconscious just now. But now was not the time to recuperate. After paying such a big price, it would be a waste if they did not bring down the city lord. Qin Feiyong stood up and shouted, "Hallmaster, you can come out now." Luo Xiong and his group immediately came out from under the table and jumped beside Qin Feiyong and Ling Yun. Caught off guard, the 6 workers knelt on the spot. Luo Xiong's face darkened. He was about to reprimand Qin Feiyong and Ling Yun when Qin Feiyong spoke first. "Hallmaster, you can reprimand us later. Take us to the city lord's mansion first." "Go to the city lord's mansion?" Luo Xiong and the others frowned. "Fatso, you stay behind to deal with the aftermath. Jiang Wei, Grand Elder, you don't need to go either. I will bring Patriarch Jiang back." "Hallmaster, hurry up. I will explain to you on the way," Qin Feiyong urged. "Let's go." Luo Xiong grabbed Qin Feiyang and shouted in a low voice. His feet didn't touch the ground as he rushed towards the city lord's mansion. The martial arts hall master grabbed Ling Yunfei. The owner of the precious treasure pavilion followed closely beside them and asked, "What is going on?" Qin Feiyang said in a deep voice, "Ling Yunfei and I were killed several times because of the city lord, the Mu clan, and the Zhang clan, including this assassination." The martial arts hall master said, "So, the three people just now are also the culprits?" Qin Feiyang nodded. "Yes, they are the city lord's confidants." Luo Xiong asked, "What about the Zhang clan?" "I don't know. Maybe they found their conscience, or maybe they are afraid, so they took the initiative to apologize to me. But this time, it is all thanks to them." Qin Feiyang immediately narrated the entire matter in a clear and simple manner. "Damn it! Such a despicable person is not worthy of being the city lord." Hearing this, Luo Xiong and the martial arts hall master were furious on the spot. The treasure pavilion master sighed. "In fact, I already know that the city lord is a villain, but I didn't expect it to be so bad. But this time, you are really too reckless. Since the Zhang clan has already realized their mistake, why don't you just let them testify?" "No. If we do this, with the despicable character of the city lord, he will definitely bite the Zhang clan. Coupled with the help of the Mu clan, no one will believe the Zhang clan's words. Instead, it will put us in an awkward position. So, we must catch them red-handed and let the city lord and the Mu clan's lord have nothing to say. As for the mess, to be honest, this time I really didn't mess around. Look at this carefully." Qin Feiyang took out the broken blood bag and handed it to the treasure pavilion master. "It's actually the skin of a martial ancestor-level beast." The treasure pavilion master took a closer look and was shocked. "I see. There are 2 layers of beast skin in the blood bag, plus the beast skin jacket, a total of 3 layers. The defensive power of 3 layers of beast skin can indeed block the full blow of a martial ancestor, but it's still too dangerous. In the future, don't do this kind of thing again." Luo Xiong reprimanded. Qin Feiyang and the treasure pavilion master smiled bitterly. If it's not a last resort, who would joke with their life? "They are right in front," the martial hall master suddenly said. They raised their heads and saw the 3 workers, running as fast as lightning in the rain. "The direction they are going is the city lord's mansion," Qin Feiyang whispered. "Don't follow too closely, lest they find out. We are also Battle King Realm warriors. Can't you have some confidence in us?" Luo Xiong and the other 2 rolled their eyes. "This brat is looking down on us too much." After 100 breaths, the 3 men entered the city lord's mansion. Qin Feiyang originally thought that Luo Xiong and the other 2 would climb over the wall and sneak in. But they didn't. "Old Pei, help me take care of Yunfei." After handing Ling Yunfei over to the pavilion master of the precious treasure pavilion, the martial arts hall master's speed suddenly increased. Like a specter, he swiftly ran over and knocked out the 4 guards at the entrance before they could even react. Following that, he barged into the city lord's mansion with great fanfare. Wherever it passed, the guards fell one after another, not even making the slightest sound. Qin Feiyang and Ling Yunfei looked at each other, and could see a trace of desire in each other's eyes. If they were Battle King, would they need to work so hard? They would directly charge into the city lord's mansion. Who would dare to block their way? Luo Xiong laughed. "Don't be envious with your talent, becoming Battle King is only a matter of time." 10 breaths later, a dazzling hall entered their line of sight. That was the city lord's mansion's assembly hall. On both sides of the door, there were 2 guards guarding it. After exchanging a few words with the 2 guards, the 3 workers walked in. This time, they didn't break in directly. Instead, they went to the left side of the assembly hall and hid under a window. Qin Feiyang's heart moved, and he whispered, "Hallmaster, did you bring the image crystal? I left in a hurry just now and forgot to bring it." Luo Xiong shook his head. "I brought it," the martial hall master whispered. Qin Feiyang said, "Then quickly turn on the image crystal and record their conversation." The image crystal could not only transmit sound from 1,000 miles away, but it could also record the conversation or images. Back in Iron Ox Town, Lin Yi's father opened a crystal in a secret room. Lin Han's phantasm immediately appeared, and the 2 talked across the air. That crystal was the image crystal. However, the image crystal was very expensive, and ordinary people couldn't afford it. Moreover, small cities like Black Bear City didn't sell it. If people here wanted it, they had to go to Yen City or Star Moon City to buy it. As for the Lin family in Iron Ox Town, it was naturally given by the Lin family in Yen City. In the assembly hall, the city lord sat on the main seat at the top. Mu clan head and Zhang clan head sat side by side below. The three men were kneeling in the center of the assembly hall at this moment. The city lord looked at the three and asked, "Did you kill them?" "Yes." The three nodded. "Are you sure?" The city lord frowned. At that time, they didn't take any precautions at all. "We attacked with all our strength and directly slapped their hearts. When we went to see them, not only were they dead, but their hearts were also spurting blood. Their hearts must have been broken. So we are sure that Zhang Haotian and Ling Yunfei are dead." The three of them vowed solemnly. "Haha. Two little beasts, you really don't know what's good for you. How dare you go against this city lord? Don't you think about who is the emperor in Black Bear City? No one who offends me has a good end. You did a very good job. Go down and receive your reward." The city lord laughed again and again. He was so arrogant that he almost forgot himself. "Thank you, Lord." The three bowed and retreated. The Mu clan head also smiled and was very happy. The Zhang clan head frowned and got up. "City Lord, when Luo Xiong receives the news, I'm afraid he won't let it go." "So what? Even if they guessed that I did it without evidence, would they dare to come to the city lord's mansion to make trouble? However, I really hope they can come and make trouble. Because in this way, I can report them to Yan Wang, saying that they gathered people to make trouble, slandered me, and despised the royal power. At that time, I'm afraid they will have to get out of Black Bear City." The city lord snorted. His face was full of contempt. But before his voice fell, a sneer came from outside the window next to him. "Lord, did you hear that? If we didn't hold back, we would have been bitten by him now. Who? Get out of here." Chapter 108. Bang! The window was broken. A figure fell in the hall. "It's Qin Feiyang." He looked up at the city lord and laughed. "You're really forgetful. You can't even recognize my voice. How could this be? Why aren't you dead?" The city lord and Mu Jia lord's eyes widened in disbelief. There's a hint of joy in Lord Zhang's eyes. But the next moment, his face was cold as he shouted, "You dare to come to my door, I'll kill you now." After that, he rushed towards Qin Feiyang with a murderous look. "Yes, kill him. Don't let him escape." The city lord and Mu Jia lord roared. But soon they were dumbfounded. When Lord Zhang rushed to Qin Feiyang, his murderous aura disappeared instantly. His face was full of apology. "Thank you for your forgiveness." That's right. He didn't want to kill Qin Feiyang. He just wanted to use this opportunity to shift his position. Because once he learns that he betrayed the city lord will definitely not let him go. So he had to leave in advance and stay away from the city lord. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "Senior, you're being too polite. This junior has also done something wrong. Please forgive me for offending you." Hearing this, Lord Zhang's heart was even more ashamed, but there was a smile on his face. "Zhang Rong, what are you doing?" After the city lord reacted, he immediately roared. Lord Zhang turned around and looked at the city lord and Mu Jia lord. "What I'm doing? Isn't it obvious? You dare to betray the city lord. You're really looking for death." Mu Jia lord roared. "Humph!" A cold snort sounded. Luo Xiong, the martial hall lord, the treasure pavilion lord, and Ling Yunfei entered the hall one after another. "Why are you all here?" Mu Jia lord's face suddenly changed. He hurriedly retreated behind the city lord. His whole body and mind were instantly overwhelmed by fear. The city lord was also shocked. But when Lord Zhang saw Luo Xiong and the other two, he was relieved. This time, he was not afraid of the city lord's revenge. A dignified city lord has actually repeatedly attacked two juniors. Do you still have any sense of shame? He actually wants to drive us out of Black Bear City. King Yen gave you the power to benefit the people, not to commit crimes. Do you really think that you are the emperor of Black Bear City and can cover the sky with one hand? Let me tell you, just based on what you said just now, it's enough to send you to hell." Luo Xiong roared. his eyes cold and piercing. The city lord's pupils shrank. The word emperor was a taboo in the Grand Qin Empire. Even the royal family did not dare to call themselves the emperor. This was because the emperor represented the authority of the emperor and was supreme. Claiming to be an emperor was the same as looking down on the authority of the emperor, and the 9 generations of his family would be exterminated. In the entire Great Qin Empire, there was only one person who dared to call himself the emperor, and that was the true ruler of the Great Qin Empire. Just now, he did say that. Moreover, he said it without any hesitation. Because he has full confidence that Lord Jiang and Lord Mu will never dare to go out and talk nonsense. But he never expected that the Jiang family head would betray him. It was even more unexpected. These words would be heard by Luo Xiong and the others. This was a serious crime. If the king of Yen were to hear about this, he would not be able to escape death no matter how powerful he was. What should he do? Yes. Don't admit it. He glanced at Qin Feiyong and the others and said lightly, "Did this city lord say that? Who can testify? Don't think that you can slander this city lord just because you joined forces. There are still laws in this world." Mu Jia's lord shouted. "Yes, you are spreading rumors and slandering people." Luo Xiong and the others clenched their hands. They really didn't expect that these 2 people would be so shameless. Now, they have to admire Qin Feiyong's foresight. If they didn't use the image crystal to record the conversation, even if they were in the right now, they wouldn't be able to explain it clearly. Nothing to say now. But this matter is not over. I will report you to the King of Yen, accusing you of forming a clique and slandering a good person. The city lord sneered. Haha, the martial hall master laughed, took out the image crystal, and said sarcastically, "Unfortunately, your conspiracy won't succeed, because I have recorded everything you said just now." What? The city lord was shocked. Swish. The next moment, he dashed out like a bolt of lightning, intending to snatch the image crystal. Humph! The martial hall master snorted. The image crystal disappeared in an instant, and he stepped forward to meet the city lord. "Go to hell!" The city lord roared. Now, he can only cut off all means of retreat and kill these people. "Kill me, you are not qualified." The martial hall master sneered. Both of them were emitting a bright battle chi, and their momentum was soaring to the sky. "You guys get out of here!" Luo Xiong shouted to Qin Feiyong and the others. Once the Battle Kings fight, the destructive power caused is extremely amazing. If Qin Feiyong and the others stay here, they will only become cannon fodder. This point they are also very clear. So when they heard Luo Xiong shout, Qin Feiyong, Ling Yunfei, and Lord Jiang immediately turned around and ran out of the hall. At the same time, Lord Mu was also running away. Boom! Several people just ran out of the hall. The martial hall master and the city lord punched each other. Immediately, a terrifying wave of destructive air rushed out from the 2 of them like a tidal wave, covering the sky and covering the earth as it surged out in all directions. The tables and chairs were instantly shattered. The stone pillars were constantly collapsing. In an instant, the interior of the palace was destroyed beyond recognition and shattered into pieces. Even the whole hall was shaking. The destruction caused by the battle between Battle Kings is too terrible. Seeing this, Qin Feiyong and the others retreated again and again. Ha! Suddenly, Lord Jiang frowned and turned to look at the left side of a narrow path. A black shadow was fleeing toward the gate of the city lord mansion. It was Lord Mu. "Old dog Mu, where do you think you're going?" Lord Jiang roared, his true chi gushed out. With a strong murderous intent, he chased after Mu. Ling Yunfei asked, "What should we do?" These changes came too fast, making him a little helpless. Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice, "It's better to die than to live in dishonor. The city lord's momentum is gone. He will definitely fight to the death. Let's quickly leave the city lord mansion." But before his voice fell, the city lord's roar came out from the hall. "Everyone listen to my order, at any cost. Kill Jiang Haotian and Ling Yunfei." The voice contained endless murderous intent. The 2 men's faces changed greatly. They quickly turned around and fled outside. The nearby guards also immediately rushed toward the 2 men. The entire city lord mansion was in chaos. "Kill them!" Several guards rushed from the front, each holding a sharp weapon in their hands, shining with cold light. Qin Feiyong's face sank. He glanced around and shouted, "Go to the right, go over the wall." However, After a few steps, a group of guards rushed out in front of them. Bastard fight! Qin Feiyong was full of hostility. He pulled out the Xueqi and rushed directly, waving his big hand. Clang! Sparks burst out. The weapons in the hands of the guards were all broken on the spot. Kill! At the same time, Ling Yunfei roared and punched a guard in the chest. The guard screamed and was directly blown away, falling to the ground and dying. However, 2 guards took the opportunity to attack Ling Yunfei with their palms. But before they got close, Qin Feiyong flew over, the Xueqi burst out cold light, a knife into the man's back, piercing his heart. Then, he pulled out the Xueqi and pounced on another person. But at this time, a guard rushed over like lightning, stabbing his chest with a sword. Qin Feiyong couldn't dodge in time, and his chest suddenly hurt. Hey! His eyes were full of surprise. The sword didn't hurt him? He looked down. It turned out that it was the animal skin coat that blocked the sword and saved his life. The guard showed a face of disbelief. Die! With the animal skin coat protecting his heart, Qin Feiyong calmed down and waved his hand. The Xueqi cut through the air, cutting the man's throat. Without the slightest pause, he and Ling Yunfei killed a bloody path side by side. These guards were at least 5-star martial masters, and their strength was not bad. Although Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei cooperated seamlessly, and there was the Xueqi, perfect martial arts, and the animal skin coat, but gradually, there were many wounds on their bodies. It was still raining cats and dogs. This was a night of bloodshed. In the city lord's mansion, the sound of killing shook the sky, and blood stained the ground. The whole Black Bear City was alarmed. Everyone was rushing in this direction. Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei were bathed in blood, stepping on corpses, and finally killed their way to a wall. However, at this time, 5 middle-aged men stood in front of them. Their faces changed color. Without hesitation, they turned and fled. Because those 5 people were the ones who had assassinated and followed them before. They were all martial grandmasters. Stop them! One of the burly men shouted. The group of guards in front immediately rushed forward, cutting off their escape route. At the same time, the 5 burly men quickly caught up, and without saying anything, they directly slapped at the 2 of them. Seeing that Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei were about to die on the spot. Whoosh! But suddenly, streaks of bright battle chi like sharp arrows broke through the air and instantly sank into the chest of those guards and the 5 burly men. Ah! A series of screams resounded through the night sky. All the guards fell to the ground, dead. There was a thumb-sized bloody hole in their chest, penetrating from front to back, and blood spurted out like a fountain. A white figure dashed over at high speed. It was Luo Xiong. His body was surrounded by battle chi, shining brightly, like a bright moon in the dark night. Thank you, Palace Master. Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei said gratefully. If Luo Xiong had not arrived in time, they would have died. It's good that you're fine. Seeing that the 2 of them were only injured, Luo Xiong also let out a sigh of relief. Qin Feiyong asked, "How is the city lord?" Luo Xiong said, "He will definitely die tonight, but there are still 2 battle kings hidden in the city lord's mansion. You should leave quickly. If you want to leave, you have to ask this old man first." At this time, a bone-chilling voice was heard. A black-clothed old man like a shooting star quickly entered the sight of the 3 of them. "Go quickly!" Luo Xiong turned to look at the black-clothed old man, and shouted at Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei. The 2 of them quickly turned and rushed towards the city wall. "You want to leave? In your dreams!" The black-clothed old man's eyes were filled with killing intent. His old hand waved in the air, and battle chi emerged, turning into a raging wave, and pressed towards Luo Xiong. At the same time, he stepped out, avoiding Luo Xiong. In the blink of an eye. Chapter 109. Old thing, how dare you! Luo Xiong was furious. He punched out. That battle chi dissipated on the spot. Following that, he turned around and turned into a ray of light, chasing after the 2 battle chi that shot towards Qin Feiyong and Luo Xiong. Cold moon. But at this moment, the old man in black shouted in a low voice. Behind him, a full moon rose slowly, as if it was condensed from ice, emitting a mighty aura. The rain in the sky. The water on the ground. It was all rapidly freezing at this moment. Kill! The old man in black pointed at the sky. The cold moon trembled in the air and cut through the sky, whistling towards Luo Xiong. This aura, Qin Feiyong's body stiffened. This was a battle art. It was another supreme divine ability that surpassed martial arts. Only by stepping into the War King could one cultivate it. However, Luo Xiong's expression was extremely gloomy. If he continued to save Qin Feiyong and Luo Xiong, he would definitely be severely injured by the cold moon. But if he did not save them, the two of them would definitely die. Damn it! He cursed and did not retaliate. Instead, he continued to chase after the two battle Qi. Qin Feiyong shouted, "Palace Master, I have a way, don't worry about us." You have a way? Luo Xiong was stunned. He made a prompt decision and turned around. If it were anyone else, he would definitely not believe them. But in his eyes, Qin Feiyong was a kid who could create miracles. Therefore, he trusted him unconditionally. Crash! Battle Qi rushed out of his body like a torrent, like a huge waterfall, rushing up into the sky. In an instant, a gigantic fist appeared out of nowhere. It was like a mountain, releasing a shocking aura. Tyrant Fist, kill! Luo Xiong roared. The giant fist broke through the air and collided with the cold moon. Boom! A loud explosion shook the heavens and the earth. The giant fist and the cold moon exploded at the same time, illuminating the night sky like fireworks. Puff! Bang! Luo Xiong and the old man in black both spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated. At the same time, Qin Feiyong grabbed Ling Yunfei and entered the castle. Whoosh! The two streams of battle Qi whizzed past the place where they had disappeared and hit the wall in front of them. The wall instantly collapsed. The few houses in front of them also suffered an unexpected calamity and were razed to the ground. Fortunately, the people in the house heard the commotion and came out. Otherwise, they would have died on the spot. The next moment, Qin Feiyong brought Ling Yunfei back to their original position. Looking at the ruins in front of them, their faces were filled with fear. The black-clothed old man had already stabilized his body. He sneered and said, "Luo Xiong, you can't even protect your disciples. What qualifications do you have to be the Pill Hall's hall master?" He thought that Qin Feiyong and Qin Haodong were already dead. But when he looked past Luo Xiong and saw Qin Feiyong, his old eyes suddenly filled with disbelief. How could this be? Not only was he not dead, he wasn't even injured? Whoosh! At this moment, Luo Xiong furiously attacked. Because he didn't need to look back. He only needed to see the reaction of the old man in black to know that Qin Feiyong and Qin Haodong were fine. And now, it was undoubtedly a good chance to counterattack. He took a big stride forward and dove down. His fist was covered with battle Qi. Boom! A punch landed on the black-clothed old man's lower abdomen. Ayo! The black-clothed old man was sent flying on the spot. He bent his body and broke one small tree after another. He let out a beast-like howl. Finally, with a rumbling sound, he smashed a fake mountain and smashed into the ground. "Hurry up and leave!" Luo Xiong shouted without turning his head back. He took the opportunity to chase after them and rushed towards the fake mountain. Is this the strength of a warlord? Ling Yunfei clenched his fists tightly. Looking at Luo Xiong's back, his eyes were filled with desire. If it wasn't for that unforeseen event, I wouldn't just be a warlord now. I might even have stepped into the War Emperor realm. Qin Feiyong muttered secretly. He patted Ling Yunfei's shoulder and shouted, "What are you daydreaming about? Hurry up and leave." Ling Yunfei quivered. He hurriedly followed behind Qin Feiyong and ran out from the gap in the wall. "The city lord has ordered that we must kill them." Chase. At the back, a large group of guards chased after them. Mud splashed everywhere. Outside the wall was a 2-meter-wide alley with a finger-deep rainwater. Qin Feiyong and Luo Xiong ran wildly in the alley. Why are there so many guards? Hearing the commotion behind him, Ling Yunfei turned around to look, and his face immediately paled. It seems that the city lord has been cultivating his own forces all these years. Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice. It's Zhang Haotian. And Ling Yunfei. The streets around the city lord's mansion had already become a sea of people. When they saw Qin Feiyong and Luo Xiong running wildly in the alley, their faces were filled with shock and bewilderment. "Get out of the way, don't block the way," Qin Feiyong shouted. What happened inside? Why is there such a big commotion? Everyone blocked the exit of the alley, asking questions at the same time. What should we do? Ling Yunfei said anxiously. Qin Feiyong looked up and shouted, "Go to the roof." The two of them suddenly stepped down, and with the help of the force, they jumped several meters high and landed steadily on the roof next to the city lord's mansion. The guards followed them and jumped up one by one. Qin Feiyong turned around and shouted, "This is a good chance, don't be soft." The two guards had just jumped up when they were kicked away by him on the spot. They crashed into the opposite wall and howled in pain. Ling Yunfei also turned around immediately, holding a dagger in his hand. Seeing a guard climbing up, he quickly ran over and stabbed him. The tip of the dagger sank into the guard's forehead. The guard screamed and fell down, dying on the spot. What the hell is going on? Seeing Qin Feiyong and Luo Xiong crazily killing the city lord's mansion's guards, the hearts of the people on the street were set off by stormy waves at this moment. Were the two of them crazy? Did they not know that they were seeking their own deaths? In just a dozen breaths, more than 20 guards had died under Qin Feiyong and Luo Xiong's hands. At this moment, many guards had already climbed up to the roofs and pounced towards Qin Feiyong and Luo Xiong's direction. Retreat! Qin Feiyong waved his hand, turned around and quickly ran away. After Ling Yunfei got rid of a guard, he quickly followed up. Some houses were high. Some were low. However, the two of them were as agile as monkeys. Their speed was not affected at all. The group of guards behind them were also as anxious as shooting stars. They chased after them madly. The roof tiles kept breaking. Ling Yunfei said in a low voice, "We can't go on like this." Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed and said, "Feng Cheng and the others should have heard the commotion. They are running towards the Pill Palace." The two of them changed their direction. After running for a few steps, Ling Yunfei shouted, "Not good, there are two people chasing after us." Qin Feiyong glanced behind him. Indeed, there were two guards, one tall and one short, quickly approaching them. The short guard held a big iron bow in his hand and carried a quiver of arrows on his back. The weapon in the tall guard's hand was two big iron hooks that looked like eagle claws. The tip of the hooks shone with cold light. It was extremely terrifying. His heart sank. Black Bear City did not have any auxiliary martial techniques. The people who could catch up with them must be martial great masters. He did not expect that there would be so many martial great masters in the city lord's mansion. The tall guard sneered, "Let's see where you can escape to today." At the same time, the short guard pulled out two arrows with a backhand motion. Whoosh! The two arrows pierced through the sky like lightning and shot towards the back of Qin Feiyong and Luo Xiong's. "Be careful!" Qin Feiyong shouted in a low voice. The two of them stepped out at the same time. The two arrows brushed past their arms and broke a few roof tiles. They directly penetrated the wood of the roof. Chi-chi! Wisps of black smoke rose into the air. What? It's poisonous! Seeing this scene, Qin Feiyong and Luo Xiong's scalp exploded. The tip of the arrow was smeared with poison. "Go down!" Qin Feiyong shouted. The two of them jumped down and landed on the street. They quickly ran into an alley. The two guards also followed into the alley. The alley was connected in all directions. The four of them chased crazily inside. Because there were too many intersections, Qin Feiyong and Luo Xiong had a chance to catch their breath. A moment later, the two of them stopped in the middle of an intersection. Ling Yunfei looked at the alley on the left. His eyes lit up and said, "There's a garbage dump over there. Let's hide there." Hide in the garbage dump? Qin Feiyong was stunned and hurriedly shook his head. He could not do such a thing. He looked at the alley on the right. More than 10 meters away, there were a few baskets piled together. Inside the baskets, there was some waste paper. It was just that the waste paper had been dissolved by the rain. It looked a bit disgusting. But it was better than hiding in the garbage dump. Qin Feiyong ran over without hesitation. Ling Yunfei also quickly followed. As soon as the two of them hid, the two guards came to the middle of the intersection. Seeing Qin Feiyong and Luo Xiong run away, the tall guard shouted angrily, "Otherwise, there are too many intersections. We would have killed the two little bastards." The short guard's face was also livid. He pulled out an arrow and shot at the garbage dump over there. Then he pulled out another arrow and turned around to aim at the pile of baskets. "Damn it!" Qin Feiyong secretly shouted. Don't shoot. Ling Yunfei prayed in his heart. Whoosh. However, the short guard finally shot the arrow. Go. Qin Feiyong shouted. The two of them lifted the baskets hard and ran to the other side without looking back. Seeing this, the short guard was overjoyed. He quickly pulled out 2 arrows and shot the arrows in one breath. The 2 arrows were like 2 poisonous snakes, shuttling rapidly in the rainstorm. With a puff, they sank into Qin Feiyong and Luo Xiong's shoulders. At that moment, blood splashed in the sky. Take the antidote pill and play dead. Qin Feiyong shouted in a low voice. Ling Yunfei took out 2 antidote pills secretly and handed one to Qin Feiyong. They were facing the 2 guards with their backs, so the 2 guards didn't see their little movements. After taking the antidote pill, the 2 of them fell to the ground and lay motionless in the rain. Now it's time for them to die. The short guard sneered. The tall guard shook his head and said, although the tip of the arrow is smeared with the one-horned python's venom, we still can't be careless. Let's go and confirm it. The short guard disdainfully said, you think too much. They are only 5-star martial masters. The one-horned python's venom is enough to kill them instantly. No matter what, we have to confirm it. The tall guard said in a low voice. Okay, you have the final say. The short guard waved his hand and said. Subsequently, the 2 of them strode towards Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei. What should we do? Ling Yunfei asked in a low voice. Qin Feiyong thought for a while and said in a low voice, don't we also have the one-horned python's venom? We'll give them a taste of their own medicine. When they get close, we'll act according to the situation. Good idea. Chapter 110. Tada. The footsteps were getting closer and closer. Qin Feiyong and the other man held their breath, ready to attack. After a few breaths, the 2 guards stopped at the feet of Qin Feiyong and the other man and kicked them hard. Seeing no reaction, they leaned over and turned them over. Hey! Immediately, Qin Feiyong grinned. At the same time, Ling Yunfei held a jade bottle in his hand and threw it hard. A transparent liquid flew out from the mouth of the bottle and splashed on the faces of the 2 guards. Sure enough, they didn't die. The taller guard's eyes were full of killing intent. He raised the iron hook in his hand and smashed it at the 2. Obviously, he had been mentally prepared. But the shorter guard was so scared that he sat on the ground. Because he believed that Qin Feiyong and the other man were dead, when he saw that they were not dead, he was very panicked subconsciously. The iron hook whistled. Qin Feiyong and the other man's faces changed. They hurriedly supported themselves with both hands and stepped back. At the same time, they spread their legs. Clang! Crack! The iron hook smashed between their legs. Accompanied by a loud noise, the ground cracked on the spot. The 2 were scared out of their wits. Cold sweat broke out all over their bodies. Because the iron hook was only a few inches away from their family jewels. If their family jewels were hit just now, wouldn't they be ruined on the spot? What are you waiting for? After the taller guard missed, he roared at the shorter guard and raised the iron hook to swing at the 2. The shorter guard quivered and immediately got up. He directly raised the big iron bow and smashed it at the 2's heads. Ah! But the next moment, the 2 suddenly lay on the ground and roared. The iron bow and 2 iron hooks also fell to the ground, making a harsh metal sound. Their faces were rapidly festering at this moment. In an instant, their faces were unrecognizable. That's right. It was the single-horned python's venom that was eroding their skin. It was difficult to open their eyes. It was a heart-wrenching pain. The taller guard shouted, "What was that liquid you just splashed?" Qin Feiyong and Qin Feiyong looked at each other. Then they quickly got up, raised the daggers in their hands, and plunged them into their backs. "While you're sick, I'll take your life." Ah! The 2 of them screamed and fell to the ground with a thud, losing their lives on the spot. Ling Yunfei pulled out his dagger, kicked the 2 of them, and sneered, "Wasting an entire bottle of poison, you guys can be considered to have died honorably." The sound came from over there. "Let's go and take a look." 2 shouts came from a small alley not far away. Qin Feiyong and Xiao Luo raised their heads to take a look. Then, they turned around and ran towards the exit of the alley without looking back. "There they are. Chase after him." a large group of guards arrived at the crossroads. When they saw Qin Feiyang and Li Wuyo, they immediately chased after them with murderous intent. Ling Yunfei looked back and immediately roared in exasperation. Your master is already an arrow at the end of its flight. Why are you still so desperate? Are you stupid? However, those guards turned a deaf ear. Qin Feiyang said, Don't talk nonsense with them. They have been brainwashed by the city lord and won't listen. Seeing that the exit was close at hand, suddenly, two figures stood in front of the exit. Caught off guard, Qin Feiyang and Xiao Luo were startled. They suddenly jumped up and jumped onto the roof again. The two of them were a little confused. One of them asked, What are you doing on the roof? This voice? Qin Feiyang was stunned. He stopped and looked down carefully. A wry smile crept up on his face. It turned out that they were not from the city lord's mansion. They were Gu Ba and He Wu. Running when we see people, it seems that we are a little too sensitive. Ling Yunfei also had a wry smile on his face. The two of them jumped down and landed in front of Gu Ba and He Wu. Are you okay? Gu Ba looked at them up and down, his face full of concern. I won't die. Qin Feiyang shook his head and asked, Is it just the two of you? Where are Elder Feng and the others? Elder Feng and the others have all gone to the city lord's mansion. No, what do you mean it's just the two of us? Could it be that with the strength of He Wu and I, we can't deal with those small fries? Gu Ba said unhappily. He Wu's face twitched as he said, We are after all 2-star martial grandmasters. Is it really okay to look down on us? Huh. Qin Feiyang laughed dryly and said, I don't mean that. Then, I will leave the rest to the two of you. Just wait and see. Gu Ba, get to work. He Wu shouted coldly. The two of them were like hungry wolves pouncing on their prey, pouncing on the group of guards. Wherever they passed, the guards fell one by one, and screams could be heard endlessly. There was no suspense at all. This was a one-sided massacre. Qin Feiyang and He Wu could finally rest for a while. They strode forward and killed some of the fish that escaped the net. After a while, the four of them came to the main street. The alley behind them was already filled with blood. They looked at the sky above the city lord's mansion. Boom! At that place, a loud sound broke through the clouds as battle chi pierced through the sky. Waves of intense battle waves enveloped more than half of Black Bear City. Ling Yunfei's eyes lit up as he said with rapid breathing, It's rare to see a battle between battle monarchs. Let's go take a look. Gu Ba nodded and said, Yes, if we can observe it from a close distance, it will definitely be helpful for our future cultivation. The four of them ran toward the city lord's mansion as fast as lightning. Before they reached the city lord's mansion, a sea of people appeared in front of them, blocking their way. He Wu frowned. There are so many people, how do we get in? Ling Yunfei said, Isn't that simple? Just step on their shoulders. After saying that, he leaped up and stepped on their shoulders, quickly rushing toward the entrance of the city lord's mansion. Qin Feiyang, He Wu, and Gu Ba looked at each other and felt the same. It's Zhang Haotian and the others. What happened inside? Can you tell us? After seeing the four of them, everyone hurriedly asked. However, the four of them ignored them as if they were walking on flat ground. After dozens of breaths, they steadily landed in front of the city lord's mansion's entrance. At the entrance, there were a few middle-aged men. There were deacon elders from the martial arts hall and deacon elders from the pill hall. They were here mainly to prevent anyone from running in. Haotian. Yunfei. Are you okay? Seeing Qin Feiyang and He Wu, they immediately surrounded them and asked with concern. Thank you for your concern. Seniors. We are fine. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and smiled. Ling Yunfei asked, Seniors, what's the situation inside? We don't know either. The few of them shook their heads. Ling Yunfei asked, Can we go in and take a look? No. The few of them replied in unison. What a joke. There were more than a dozen battle monarchs fighting inside. If they let these two in, what if something happened? Ling Yunfei was extremely disappointed as he stared at the entrance. Qin Feiyang didn't think much of it. When he was in the imperial capital, he often saw battles between battle monarchs, let alone battles between battle monarchs. Rumble. Crack. The loud noise lasted for hundreds of breaths before it gradually stopped. The battle should be over. You can go in now, the deacon elder said with a smile. What's the use of going in now? Ling Yunfei grumbled in his heart. After a while, a group of people walked out in a single file. They all had different degrees of injuries on their bodies. They were Luo Xiong, Feng Cheng, and Elder Mo. The Precious Treasure Pavilion Master. The Martial Arts Hall Master. Lin Liang was also there. There were also 2 old men with healthy faces. Qin Feiyong had never seen them before. They are the elders of the Martial Arts Hall. They are all battle monarchs. Ling Yunfei explained to Qin Feiyong in a low voice. Feng Cheng walked in front of Qin Feiyong and gave him a knock on the head. He said angrily, "You didn't even discuss such a big matter with us. Have you grown wings?" Qin Feiyong rubbed his head and said unhappily, "Don't you have any sympathy? Can't you see that they are injured?" Feng Cheng raised his eyebrows and said, "Yo, you still have reason? Do you believe that this old man will beat you up right now and make you unable to get out of bed for 3 months? Don't. Qin Feiyong hurriedly waved his hands and laughed. This disciple will definitely pay attention next time. At the same time, the martial arts hall master and the 2 old men also scolded Ling Yunfei fiercely. The 2 of them felt wronged, but their hearts were warm, because these people were actually concerned about them. At this moment, Lin Liang suddenly said, "Jiang Haotian, I apologize to you on behalf of Lin Chen. I hope you can change your mind and go to the Danwang Hall." Apologize? Qin Feiyong was stunned. He cupped his hands and said, "Senior, you are too polite. This junior has already forgotten about that matter." Hearing this, Lin Liang's eyes suddenly showed a trace of a smile. The good show is yet to come. Just wait and see. Qin Feiyong secretly sneered. He looked at Luo Xiong and asked, "Hallmaster, where are the city lord and the others?" Luo Xiong said, "The others are all dead. Only the city lord escaped." What? Escaped? Qin Feiyong's expression changed. Ling Yunfei's face was also full of anxiety. With so many battle kings, they actually let the city lord escape. He really didn't know what they were doing. There is a secret passage under the city lord mansion. It is very complicated. Old Feng and I have been looking for him for a long time, but we still couldn't find him. Luo Xiong was a little helpless, but he smiled and said, "But don't worry, we have already destroyed his cultivation. He is now weaker than an ordinary person. Even if he survives, he won't be able to do anything." That's good. Ling Yunfei let out a sigh of relief. Qin Feiyong raised his eyebrows and asked, "Where is the entrance to the secret passage?" "It is in the conference hall. What do you want to do?" "Let me tell you, the secret passage below is like a maze. You must not take the risk," Luo Xiong said. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, I won't. Don't worry." He then looked at Ling Yunfei and said, "Your mother must be waiting anxiously. Let's go back to the Spring Breeze Inn." "That's right." Ling Yunfei patted his head, looked at the martial arts hall master and the 2 old men, and said, "Hall master elder, we will leave first. I will have to trouble you here." "Don't cause trouble," the martial arts hall master warned. "Understood." Ling Yunfei nodded. When the 2 turned around, the crowd gathered in front of them also tactfully retreated to the side, making a small path. Then the 2 left without looking back. But when they were out of sight, Qin Feiyong suddenly stopped and said to Ling Yunfei, "You go back first. I will go to the city lord mansion again." "What are you going to do?" Ling Yunfei frowned. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed with a cold light, and said, "If you cut the grass without removing the roots, it will grow again. The city lord must die." Ling Yunfei said, "Then I will go with you. If there is an accident, we can take care of each other." Qin Feiyong pondered for a while and said, "Okay, let's go." Chapter 111. Soon, the 2 of them came to a wall. Seeing that there was no one around, they directly jumped over it. The strong smell of blood assailed their nostrils. The aftermath of the battle filled the void. The originally magnificent city lord's mansion was now full of holes and devastation. On the ground, there were corpses everywhere. Qin Feiyong and Li Yundong moved forward silently, feeling as if they were walking in the Azura hell. The council hall had also collapsed and turned into a ruin. Entering the ruins, they searched for a long time before they found the entrance to the secret passage. Because the entrance was blocked by Luo Xiong and the others, they probably wanted to block the city lord inside. After a lot of effort, the two of them opened the entrance and jumped in. Sure enough, as Luo Xiong said, the secret passage was complicated and difficult to distinguish the direction. On the wall, there was only one candle flame a long distance away, making it appear incomparably dim. What should we do? Ling Yunfei glanced around, somewhat at a loss. He can escape the pursuit of others, but he can't escape the pursuit of the white-eyed wolf. Qin Feiyong smiled confidently. White-eyed wolf. Ling Yunfei was stunned. At this time, Wolf King appeared out of thin air, grinned at Ling Yunfei, and said, "Brother Wolf's sense of smell is not to be trifled with." Inside the castle, it could hear the sounds outside, so without Qin Feiyong's explanation, it knew what to do. Ling Yunfei suddenly said, "Yes, your nose is more sensitive than a dog's." Dog's nose? Wolf King was stunned, flew up, and bit Ling Yunfei's butt. Ouch! Pain, pain, pain. Why did you bite me? Let go! Ling Yunfei roared, sweating in pain. Wolf King bit down hard again, and then loosened his mouth. With a look of disdain he said, "How long has it been since you took a bath? So smelly?" What? Ling Yunfei was so angry that smoke came out of his head. After biting him, he complained that he was smelly? Why was this guy such a jerk? Besides, how could there be a stench on his body after being in the rain for so long? Cough cough. Qin Feiyong held back his laughter and coughed dryly. "Don't dawdle. Hurry up." Wolf King glared at Ling Yunfei and sniffed. Qin Feiyong asked, "Is that okay?" 5 words floating in the sky. That's nothing. "Come with Brother Wolf." The Wolf King chuckled and took a step forward, entering a secret passage on the right. Qin Feiyong was stunned for a moment. Then he quickly followed up with a wry smile. This guy really knew how to play tricks. Ling Yunfei chased after it and said angrily, "Is it crazy?" Qin Feiyong laughed and said, "It's not crazy, it just hates it when people compare it with a dog's nose. Last time I was also bitten by it because of this. You have to remember this in the future. Otherwise the next time it won't be your butt." Ling Yunfei asked, "Where is that?" Qin Feiyong said, "Your egg." "My egg?" Ling Yunfei was stunned. Did he have an egg? But then, he understood. He only felt a cold current surging over and enveloping a certain part of his body. He couldn't help but clamp his legs together. Under the lead of Wolf King, they only went deep into the secret passage. About a few hundred breaths passed. A stone door entered their line of sight. Wolf King walked over, stopped in front of the stone door, and sniffed carefully. A moment later, Wolf King opened his mouth and said with a sinister smile, "He's behind this stone door. Although a bit shameless, his nose is really not for show." Ling Yunfei muttered. Qin Feiyong waved his hand and said, "Get out of the way." One man and one wolf quickly retreated to the side. Qin Feiyong took a deep breath, clenched his hands into fists, and covered his fists with true qi, releasing a terrifying aura. Suddenly, like an arrow, he rushed forward and punched the stone door. At the same time, behind the stone door, there was a 5 to 6 meter wide stone room. In the corner of the stone room, there was a large pile of gold coins, like a short mountain. Next to the gold coins, there were also many Chenkuan bags piled up. It was simply a huge treasure trove. Jiang Haotian, Ling Yunfei, Luo Xiong, Lin Liang, just you wait, sooner or later, I will kill all of them. Leave none alive. A voice filled with killing intent reverberated in the stone chamber. Looking towards the direction of the voice, they saw a stone table in the middle of the stone room. The city lord was sitting at the stone table, looking at the flickering candlelight with a ferocious expression. Boom! Right at this moment, with a loud bang, the stone door shattered. The city lord suddenly stood up and looked towards the door, only to see 2 men and a wolf striding into the stone room. "It's you guys." The city lord's expression changed abruptly, his face full of disbelief. Qin Feiyong, Ling Yunfei, and Wolf King sized up the stone room. When they saw the pile of gold coins and Chenkuan bags, their eyes lit up. Qin Feiyong chuckled and said, "So this is a treasure trove." The city lord said angrily, "Even Luo Xiong and the rest couldn't find this place. How did you guys find it? Wolf King said proudly, hee hee, of course it's Brother Wolf's credit. The city lord glanced at Qin Feiyong and Qin Yu before his eyes locked onto the Wolf King. His eyes were instantly filled with bewilderment. Wolf King said, "Do you think Brother Wolf is very handsome? Do you want to cry and beg to be Brother Wolf's follower? You, could it be that you are the wolf by Qin Feiyong's side?" The city lord was extremely surprised. "What do you think?" Wolf King chuckled. The city lord's expression changed. He looked at Qin Feiyong and shouted, "You actually dare to collude with Qin Feiyong? Aren't you afraid of being beheaded by King Yan?" The two of them were stunned. Qin Feiyong shook his head and laughed. "Actually, I am Qin Feiyong." "What?" The city lord's eyes widened. Jiang Haotian was Qin Feiyong? Haha, suddenly. He laughed loudly and said, "There's a path to heaven, but you don't want to take it, and there's no door to hell. Since that's the case, prepare to die." Qin Feiyong was stunned again, and sneered, "Is that so? Then I'll give it a try." As soon as he finished, he took a step forward. The city lord's pupils constricted, and he hurriedly took a step back. "Didn't you want to kill me? Come on." Qin Feiyong joked and took another step forward. The city lord also took another step back and said in a deep voice, "If you turn around and leave immediately, this city lord can consider letting you go." "Why?" Qin Feiyong didn't understand. "Because you're still young and ignorant, that's why you made those mistakes. This city lord is also a person who cherishes talent, so I'll give you a chance to turn over a new leaf," the city lord said without changing his expression. "Continue." Qin Feiyong sat on the stone bench, crossed his arms, and looked at him playfully. The city lord stammered and couldn't find a word for a long time. "Continue pretending? What? No confidence? Sigh, you're so pitiful. To tell you the truth, the palace lord has already told us about your cultivation being crippled. So, don't pretend to be calm there," Qin Feiyong said with a faint smile. The city lord's heart sank to the bottom in an instant. Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled, saying, "For the sake of that pile of treasures, I'll leave you with an intact corpse. Ling Yunfei, do it." Ling Yunfei immediately took out his dagger and stepped forward. Seeing this, the city lord's face turned pale, and he hurriedly knelt on the ground, saying, "Jiang Haotian. No, Qin Feiyong. Let me go, I'll give you all the treasures here." Qin Feiyong said indifferently, "If I kill you, these treasures will still be mine. Then I'll be your ox and horse, be your servant, serve you for the rest of my life. Although I'm crippled now, my connections are good. My value is much greater than Ling Yunfei's. If you can keep him by your side, you can also keep me." The city lord knelt and crawled to Qin Feiyong's feet, wagging his tail and begging for mercy. He had completely lost his previous prestige. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed and said, "Since that's the case, then I'll give you a chance." The city lord was overjoyed and said, "Thank you." The corner of Qin Feiyong's mouth rose, and said with a smile, "No need to thank me. In the next life, I will definitely keep you by my side and let you serve me." The city lord, who had just heaved a sigh of relief, heard this, and his face turned pale again. "If you don't give me a way out, I won't let you feel good either." Suddenly, with a furious roar, he pounced towards Qin Feiyong with an incomparable ferocious aura. Qin Feiyong kicked him away and said indifferently, "You are no longer the original city lord, the current you. I can need you however I want, understand?" The city lord was half lying on the ground, staring at him with resentment. Ling Yunfei walked over and sneered, "When you sent people to assassinate us back then, you didn't think that there would be a day like this." The city lord hurriedly got up and begged again, "Please spare me, I am no longer a threat to you, just treat me as a dog, do me a favor." Wolf King laughed sinisterly. "Then why don't you bark a few times for Brother Wolf to hear? If you can make Brother Wolf happy, Brother Wolf will suffer this once and accept you as a follower." "You!" The city lord was furious, and his eyes were red. Not to mention being humiliated by two former ants, now he was actually being humiliated by a beast? How hateful! "I curse you all to die a horrible death, a horrible death." He let out a fierce roar. He slammed his head on the ground, and his head immediately started bleeding. "I swear, even if I become a ghost, I won't let you off." He raised his head, glanced at the two men and the wolf with resentment, and then slammed his head on the ground. With a cracking sound, his skull shattered on the spot. Bang! Following that, he fell to the ground and died. For a moment, the stone room was dead silent. The two men and the wolf did not expect that this person would choose to die. Although it was sad, it was also hateful. Whew! Qin Feiyong let out a long breath, got up and walked towards the pile of treasures. This pile of treasures was enough for him to struggle for several years. This was truly an unexpected fortune. It's all Brother Wolf's, no one can snatch it. The Wolf King angrily roared as its saliva flowed out. It pounced on the pile of gold coins before Qin Feiyong could. Its two eyes were seeing stars. Seeing this, Qin Feiyong's face darkened, and he was about to reprimand him. But suddenly, as if he had thought of something, he asked, "White-eyed wolf, when you were in the Black Bear King's lair, why did you look at the Black Bear King with a gaze that seemed to be on guard against you?" Wolf King said disdainfully, "Tisk, how is that possible? Brother Wolf is on good terms with it." "Hearing you say that, it does seem a little fishy." Ling Yunfei lowered his head, pondered for a moment, and suddenly revealed a look of realization. He looked at Wolf King and said, "I know, you must be thinking about the Black Bear King's treasure. Ba, don't think that Brother Wolf is so shameless, okay? Brother Wolf just wanted to go in and take a look. Who knew that it would be so stingy, refusing to let Brother Wolf in and even chasing Brother Wolf out?" Wolf King said with dissatisfaction. Qin Feiyong and Wolf King's faces twitched. They were afraid that once it went in, the treasures in the treasury would be lost. Chapter 112. Next. Naturally, it was to count the treasures here. Wolf King was responsible for counting the gold coins. Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei were responsible for counting the Chenkuan bags. Medicinal materials, weapons, elixirs, and so on, there was everything. 2 people and 1 wolf were extremely busy. "This jade is good." Ling Yunfei threw a piece of jade to Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong caught it in his hand, looked at it a little, and threw it aside. The jade was square, as big as a baby's fist, and the surface was as smooth as a mirror. For ordinary people, this jade was worth a lot, enough to live for a lifetime. But for him it was just so. Because in the Imperial Palace, the jade paving the road was better than this. No. Suddenly, he felt as if he had overlooked something, picked up the jade and looked at it carefully. After a closer look, he found some clues. On the 4 sides of the jade, there was a small crack. This should be a jade box. It was just that because the workmanship was very fine, and the place where the gap met was also very perfect, it was difficult to find at a glance. Qin Feiyong grabbed the top with one hand and the bottom with the other. With a little force, the jade that originally looked like a hole was divided into 2 halves. At the same time, a strong medicinal fragrance came to his face. Elixir! Qin Feiyong's eyes lit up. He saw a red fire elixir lying quietly in the jade box. At first glance, it looked like a ball of flame. "Hey!" Ling Yunfei and Wolf King also surrounded, their eyes full of surprise. "It seems a little familiar?" Qin Feiyong muttered, trying to recall. Suddenly, his eyes lit up, and he said in surprise, "This is the red fire glass elixir." He had seen it before in the imperial capital, but it had been too long, and his memory was a little vague. Red fire glass elixir. Ling Yunfei and Wolf King were shocked. "It's Brother Wolf's." Wolf King roared, rushed over like lightning, rolled his tongue, and the red fire glass elixir was gone. Qin Feiyong and Qin Haodong were dumbfounded. "Spit it out." The next moment, the 2 of them roared and rushed forward at the same time. Ling Yunfei firmly held down Wolf King, while Qin Feiyong forcefully pried open Wolf King's mouth. "Don't bother, Brother Wolf has already swallowed it." Wolf King's sinister laughter resounded in their minds. "Bastard! White-eyed wolf!" When the 2 of them heard this, they were furious. He wanted to strangle Wolf King to death. "Hee, just you wait. Brother Wolf will try and see if he can pull it out." Wolf King raised his butt and let out a smelly fart. This place instantly stank to the heavens. Qin Feiyong quickly got up, covered his nostrils, and angrily said, "Bastard, can you be any more shameless?" Ling Yunfei also pinched his nose and stared angrily at Wolf King. "Who told you to hold Brother Wolf and not let go? How is it, does it smell good? Do you want another one?" Wolf King got up and looked at the 2 of them proudly. Scram! Qin Feiyong's face was pitch black, his veins were bulging, but his heart was filled with a sense of powerlessness. With such a shameless bastard around, no one could do anything about it. Boom! At this moment, a powerful aura rushed out from Wolf King's body. Its body size had grown by another size. Its 3-meter-long body was incomparably sturdy, its limbs were thick and powerful, and its 2 pupils were shining brightly. The snow-white fur on her body was like satin, soft and beautiful. Overall, it looked incomparably handsome. Haha, Brother Wolf has broken through. The Wolf King's excited laughter resounded in the minds of the two. Qin Feiyong and Ling Yunfei looked at each other. They were happy for Wolf King, but they were also full of helplessness. What was done, so they could only give up. Wolf King looked at the two of them and chuckled. All right, don't be like this. At most, Brother Wolf doesn't want the other treasures. Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes. Probably, the most precious thing here was the scarlet fire-colored glass pill. Ling Yunfei frowned. The air here is not circulating, it's too smelly, there's no way to continue counting. Mother should be waiting anxiously, let's put it away first and slowly sort it out when we have time in the future. All right. Qin Feiyong nodded. The two of them immediately took action and stuffed everything into the Cosmos bag. Then, under the lead of Wolf King, the two of them ran towards the exit. White-eyed Wolf, your current strength is equivalent to what Star Martial Master? On the way, Qin Feiyong asked. 9-star Martial Master. Wolf King chuckled. Damn it, why don't you go to heaven? Qin Feiyong almost tripped and fell to the ground. This bastard, not only did he not break through, but he also jumped several levels after breaking through. How could he let others live? If those so-called geniuses knew, wouldn't they be so angry that they directly hit the wall? Wolf King was even more proud. But after a while, Wolf King asked, Little Qin Zi, you have so many perfect martial art skills. Is there any suitable for Brother Wolf? Qin Feiyong was stunned and said, Let me think about it. He thought as he walked. After a while he shook his head and said, No, I didn't expect to know you before, so I didn't pay much attention to it. But don't worry, when we go to Yen City, I will help you keep an eye out. Fierce beasts like Wolf King, who had opened their spiritual wisdom and had a high IQ, could indeed cultivate martial arts skills. The martial arts library of the Imperial Palace did indeed have the martial arts skills of fierce beasts. But at that time, he didn't expect to be friends with fierce beasts, so he didn't go to see it. Hundreds of breaths passed. The three of them finally came to the exit. After sending Wolf King into the castle, the two of them jumped out and rushed towards Chun Fong Restaurant. When they entered Chun Fong Restaurant, Qin Feiyong and Lu Ji were stunned. The hall, which was originally full of guests, was only occupied by 3 people. Fatso, Jiang Wei, and Lu Ji. Even if they went to the city lord's mansion to watch the fun, they should have come back. As soon as the two of them came back, the 3 of them immediately came to greet them. Lu Ji said worriedly, Yunfei, why are there so many wounds on your body? Let Mother have a look. Ling Yunfei felt warm in his heart and said, Mother, I'm sorry to have made you worry, but it's just a small injury, nothing serious. Lu Ji said anxiously, Look at some places you're bleeding, and you still say it's nothing? Ling Yunfei smiled. I'm really fine, I just need to take a healing pill, and I'll be fine in a while. Mother, you go over there and sit, we have something to talk about. Is there anything that Mother can't hear? Lu Ji's face was unhappy, but then she smiled and said, You've grown up now, it's normal to have privacy, Mother understands. I don't have any difficulties. I just don't want you to worry. Ling Yunfei smiled bitterly. Lu Ji reached out to wipe the rain on Ling Yunfei's face and said with a smile, Mother can see this, but Mother already knows what you did in the city lord's mansion. You know? Ling Yunfei was stunned and immediately glared at Fatso and Jiang Wei. Jiang Wei waved his hand. This is not something we said. Fatso rolled his eyes and said, You made such a big noise, the whole city was alarmed, it's hard for Auntie not to know. Ling Yunfei was stunned. The wry smile on his face became thicker. Qin Feiyong asked, What's going on here? Fatso smiled and said, We have a big rich man here after you left. He didn't say anything and directly booked the whole Chun Fong Lu, that is to say, we can party here tonight. Although he didn't mention a name, there's only one person who would do such a thing, and that's Jiang Wei. Qin Feiyong looked at Jiang Wei and asked, Did your father come? Jiang Wei nodded. Yes, he left with the Great Elder not long ago. Qin Feiyong asked, what about the Mujia's lord? Jiang Wei said, he's dead. Qin Feiyong's eyes flashed slightly. He said, if I'm not wrong, your father and the Great Elder should have gone to the Mujia, right? How do you know? Jiang Wei was surprised. Does this person know how to calculate? Qin Feiyong smiled and didn't explain. It's not difficult to guess. The Mujia's lord and the city lord are in cahoots. Now the Mujia must be notorious. Now that the Mujia's lord is dead, it's undoubtedly the best time to destroy the Mujia. The Jiang clan's lord is a smart person. He won't let go of this good opportunity. As for Luo Xiong and the others, they will inevitably turn a blind eye. The first reason is because of the big man behind the Jiang clan. The second reason is that even if the Jiang clan is dominant, it's only a single clan. It can't threaten the Dan Hall, Martial Arts Hall, and Treasure Pavilion. Okay, Fat Lord is starving, we can talk about it later. Waiter, hurry up and serve the food. Zhang Laoda, Ling boy, you should go wash up and change your clothes. Look at you, you're worse than a beggar. Fatso said impatiently, his face full of contempt. Arrogant? Ling Yunfei raised his eyebrows and sneered. If I don't drink you later, my surname is not Ling. I'm not afraid of you, hurry up. Don't let Fat Lord wait for too long. Fatso provoked. That night, although there were only a few people, Chun Feng House was filled with laughter. Later, the Jiang clan's lord and the Grand Elder also came. As for the Mujia, needless to say, they were removed from the Black Bear City. The next day, early morning. The rain stopped last night. The sun slowly rose. A new day has come. Qin Feiyong opened the window and looked at the clear sky. His eyes were deep. He whispered, Mother, your son is doing well now, don't worry. He will go to Yen City soon. Although there is still a long way to go, although there will be many dangers on the way, he will keep going and never retreat. My head hurts. At this time, Ling Yunfei pushed the door and walked in. While walking towards Qin Feiyong, he rubbed his temples, his whole body exuding a strong smell of alcohol. Last night, he, Fatty, and Jiang Wei all drank themselves to the ground. So they directly stayed in Chun Feng House. Walking to Qin Feiyong, Ling Yunfei looked outside and asked, did I embarrass myself last night? Qin Feiyong laughed. You only need to tear down Chun Feng House. This damn Fatso, and Jiang Wei, how can they drink so much? Ling Yunfei was a little annoyed. Qin Feiyong smiled and asked, the Martial King Hall will not allow you to take Auntie with you. What are you going to do? Ling Yunfei said, I have already thought about it. Let Mother continue to stay in the Martial King Hall for a while, and when I settle down in Yen City, I will take her with me. The Hallmaster also agreed. Qin Feiyong nodded. Not bad, at least her safety is guaranteed. By the way, now you know why Auntie was imprisoned? Yes, Mother told me. Ling Yunfei nodded, his eyes bursting with hatred. At this time, a disciple of the Martial King Hall ran in breathlessly and said, Junior brother Yunfei, why are you still here? Come back with me, senior sister Ling, is going to go crazy. Ling Yunfei was shocked and said to Qin Feiyong, I will tell you about this later, I will go back first. Then he turned and left in a hurry. Ling, I really hope I will not see this woman again. Chapter 113. Back at the Pill Hall. Qin Feiyong and Fatso were called to Luo Xiong's courtyard. Luo Xiong, Feng Chang, and Elder Mo sat at the stone table in the courtyard. Greetings, Hall Master. Greetings, elders. The two of them walked over and bowed. Luo Xiong continued, since we are about to head to the Pill Emperor Hall, this hall has nothing much to say. I'll only say one thing, don't throw our face away. Especially Fatty, don't be as lazy as you are now. When did I? Fatso pouted and felt wronged. Still talking back? Let me tell you, the Danwang Hall isn't the Pill Hall. If you want to survive in the Danwang Hall, it's useless to play tricks. The only way is to work hard to prove your worth. Otherwise, you'll be mercilessly eliminated. Until the end, you'll be abandoned. Luo Xiong shouted. This disciple will remember. This disciple will definitely change. Seeing Luo Xiong getting angry, Fatso hurriedly promised. Luo Xiong glared at him and took out a brocade pouch from his chest. He threw it to Qin Feiyong and smiled. Open it after we leave Black Bear City. I guarantee you'll be surprised. Yes. Qin Feiyong replied and put the brocade pouch into his bosom. Hallmaster, what about me? Seeing that Qin Feiyong still had a gift, Fatso couldn't take it anymore. He looked at Luo Xiong eagerly. Luo Xiong was too lazy to talk nonsense with him and ignored him. At this moment, Lin Chen and Lu Hong walked into the courtyard. Lin Chen nodded to Qin Feiyong and saw Luo Xiong. He cupped his hands and smiled. Hallmaster Luo, it's getting late. We have to go. Luo Xiong nodded. There was a hint of reluctance in his eyes. Feng Cheng and Elder Mo were the same. Who would be willing to give up a disciple who could refine supreme-grade pills to others? But there was no other way. Staying in the pill hall would only delay this kid's future. Feng Cheng waved his hand and said, Go, go. Don't be annoyed. Goodbye. Lin Chen cupped his fists and turned to leave the courtyard. Fatso and Lu Hong also bowed deeply and turned to follow. Qin Feiyong glanced at the three people, bowed 90 degrees, and said gratefully, Hallmaster, Elder Feng, Elder Mo, thank you for your care these days. If there is a future, this disciple will definitely repay you. He had never respected the heavens or the earth. However, the three people in front of him were worthy of his respect. As for what would happen in the future, that would have to wait. The three of them laughed. His painstaking efforts were not in vain. Feng Cheng smiled. If you encounter any difficulties in Yen City, go to Ling Er. This old man has already told her to help you. Qin Feiyong was stunned. This was really not what he wanted. The only thing he could do was to keep a respectful distance from this woman. Seeing this, frowning, Feng Cheng asked, Is my granddaughter so unpleasant to you? Qin Feiyong hurriedly said, No, it's just that this disciple is afraid of being unworthy. Humph, don't put on an act in front of this old man, hypocrite. Feng Cheng snorted coldly, glanced at Lin Chen who was far away, got up and walked to Qin Feiyong's side, and said in a low voice, There is one thing this old man needs your help with. What is it? Qin Feiyong asked. Feng Cheng said, Help this old man look after Ling Er, don't let her get too close to Lin Chen. This. Qin Feiyong felt bitter in his heart. Wasn't this clearly making things difficult for him? Feng Cheng's face instantly darkened, and he frowned. What? This old man has helped you so much, and you're not even willing to do this little favor? Of course I'm willing. This disciple will do his best. Qin Feiyong nodded. Hearing this, Feng Cheng's old face was immediately filled with smiles, and he nodded. That's more like it. Go quickly, remember to come back often in the future. Qin Feiyong nodded, and after bidding farewell to the three of them, he chased after Fatso and the others. West City Gate. 2 men and 2 women stood in front of the city gate. Their temperament was outstanding, and their clothes were gorgeous, like cranes in a flock of chickens, and they were particularly eye-catching. 2 of them were the masked woman, Ling Yunfei. The other 2 were about 16 or 17 years old. The woman's long hair draped over her shoulders, and her clothes fluttered in the wind, and she was quite beautiful. The man was about 1.75 meters tall, and his expression was cold, and his eyes were sharp, giving off a cold feeling that kept people 1,000 miles away. These 2 were also disciples of the martial arts hall who were going to the Martial King Hall. As for the masked woman, she was still wearing a tight-fitting outfit, which showed off her perfect figure, and she looked valiant and extremely capable. She crossed her arms in front of her chest, and her back was leaning against the city wall. Her eyes were shining, and no one knew what she was thinking. A moment later, Qin Feiyong and the other 3 walked out of the city gate. Ling Yunfei went up and smiled. You're finally here. Why are you here? Qin Feiyong frowned. Ling Yunfei said, Take a look for yourself. Qin Feiyong looked around, and when he saw the masked woman, his heart suddenly felt like it had eaten Chinese gold thread. What he was afraid of, it really came. Ling Er, I knew you would wait for me. Lin Chen was overjoyed and quickly walked towards the masked woman. But the masked woman didn't care about him at all. She looked up at Qin Feiyong and said indifferently, Let's go. As soon as she finished speaking, she took the lead and walked towards the mountain range ahead. Lin Chen hurriedly followed after him. Lu Hong also quickly followed. Fatso walked to Qin Feiyong's side and whispered, Did you see that? What is called cheap? Be careful. Trouble comes from the mouth. Qin Feiyong glared at him. Brother Haotian, please take care of me on the way. The woman from the martial arts hall walked over and smiled. Ling Yunfei introduced. She is senior sister Chen Ying, and this cold and handsome guy is senior brother Su Jian. They are both 5-star martial masters and the two most powerful disciples of the martial arts hall. Chen Ying rolled her eyes at Ling Yunfei and looked at Qin Feiyong. Don't listen to junior brother's nonsense. Chen Jian said coldly. That's right, it's pure nonsense. The masked woman glanced back at them and shouted. What are you still waiting for? Do you not want to go? Ling Yunfei and the other two froze and hurriedly turned to chase after her. Tigress. Qin Feiyong muttered. Fatso laughed. It's not good to talk about your fiancé like that. I said it was just a misunderstanding. Qin Feiyong was helpless. Who would believe that? Fatso sneered and patted Qin Feiyong's shoulder. He gave a thumbs up and said, seeing your fiancé being entangled by another man and still being indifferent, I have to say, you are really awesome. Qin Feiyong's face darkened and said angrily. Are you asking for a beating? Fatso said. Don't be ungrateful. Fat Lord is also doing it for your own good. If this continues, you might be cuckolded one day. Qin Feiyong's veins bulged as he suddenly kicked the fatty's butt. The fatty fell flat on his face on the spot and fell to the ground. Bastard, even if Fat Lord is meddling in other people's business, don't come to Fat Lord for comfort when you are cuckolded in the future. The fatty got up, cursed at Qin Feiyong, and ran away as if his life depended on it. Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled bitterly. He chased after them with big strides. It seemed that it was impossible to clear up this misunderstanding. He couldn't blame others. He could only blame himself. Suddenly, he remembered the brocade bag that Luo Xiong gave him. He took out the brocade bag and opened it. There was a neatly folded piece of paper inside. What is it? Fatso retreated and looked at it curiously. Can you not be like a follower? Qin Feiyong frowned. Fat Lord is willing. What can you do? Fatso snorted. Qin Feiyong was full of helplessness towards this Fatso. He took out the paper and opened it. His eyes suddenly lit up. It was actually the pill formula of the scarlet glazed pill. Fatso said angrily. Damn, the palace master is too biased? Qin Feiyong was secretly happy. The pill palace really did have the pill formula of the scarlet glazed pill. But he didn't expect Luo Xiong to give it to him in this way. Phew! After letting out a long breath, he put away the pill formula, looked back at Black Bear City, and muttered, Thank you. Jiang Haotian, Fatso, hurry up and catch up. Lin Chen shouted in front. Coming. Qin Feiyong responded and quickly caught up. Fatso complained along the way. Soon, the group of 8 left Black Bear City. Gradually, they entered a deep mountain. Along the way, they encountered more and more fierce beasts. But so far, they had not encountered an existence that they could not defeat. Chen Ying was puzzled. Senior sister Ling, why don't we take the road? Or ride to Yen City? The masked woman said coldly. Don't forget, you are now a disciple of the Martial Imperial Palace, not a rich young lady. If you are tired, it is not too late to return to Black Bear City. Chen Ying's expression stiffened. He lowered his head and did not dare to speak again. Fatso rolled his eyes and asked, Senior brother Lin Chen, as alchemists, we don't have to suffer with them, right? Lin Chen smiled. It's good to suffer a little. Damn, this cheap man, living is a waste of air. Fatso cursed secretly. Everyone present could see Lin Chen's motive. It was nothing more than wanting to curry favor with the masked woman. It was just that no one could say it out loud. We are about to reach the Eagle Claw Peak. Be alert and pay attention to the surroundings. The masked woman shouted. Eagle Claw Peak. Fatso's body trembled. His eyes were filled with fear. Ling Yunfei, Chen Ying, Su Jian, and Lu Hong also revealed a dignified expression. Seeing this, Qin Feiyong frowned. Could it be that this Eagle Claw Peak was not a good place? After passing through a dense forest and over a mountain ridge, a magnificent mountain range entered their line of sight. The mountains overlapped one another, tall and straight. One of the giant peaks was the most spectacular. The giant peak covered a radius of several thousand meters and was more than 1,000 feet tall. It towered into the sky and a majestic aura rushed towards them, attacking their souls. But at the edge of the giant peak, there were 5 other peaks. Each of them was more than 100 feet tall and curved in shape. As far as the eye could see, it really looked like a giant eagle claw, towering between the clouds. It could be said to be a work of the gods. Looking at the eagle claw peak, the fear in Fatso's eyes intensified. He anxiously said, "Senior brother Lin Chen, let's take a detour." Lin Chen smiled. "Along the way we will listen to Ling Ura." Damn. Hearing this, Fatso was instantly enraged. He roared, "If you want to pick up a girl, Fat Lord won't stop you. But shouldn't there be a limit? Listening to everything she says, are you still a fucking man?" Lin Chen's smile froze. He turned around and looked at Fatso. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Fatso immediately shrunk his neck and hid behind Qin Feiyang. He asked hesitantly, "Did Fat Lord say something wrong?" Seeing this, Chapter 114. Fatty still wanted to say something, but when Lin Chen glared at him, he swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. "Jiang Lao Da, aren't you going to say something?" He looked helplessly at Qin Feiyang. Although Qin Feiyang's strength was not as good as Lin Chen's, in terms of status, he would definitely surpass Lin Chen after going to the Danwang Hall. After all, he could refine the best quality pills, so the Danwang Hall would definitely focus on training him. Lin Chen raised his eyebrows and didn't say anything. He just stared at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed and he smiled. "Since senior brother Lin Chen is leading the team, we should listen to him. As for picking up girls, it's a bit unpleasant to say. It should be said that a gentleman wants to court a fair and graceful lady." Lin Chen smiled. This kid was quite sensible. Fatso was a bit dissatisfied, but under Qin Feiyang's signal, he didn't say anything. "Then let's go." The masked woman waved her hand and the group rushed towards the forest below. The Eagle Claw Peak was at least 5 or 6 miles away from their current location, and there were many fierce beasts on the way. However, Qin Feiyang and the others didn't have to do anything, because Lin Chen did it himself. Everyone knew that he wanted to show off in front of the masked woman. But the masked woman didn't seem to appreciate it. Along the way, she didn't say a word to him. He was the only one doing the talking. Qin Feiyang and Fatso walked at the back. Fatso whispered, "Jiang Lao Da, why are you following him? Are you afraid of him?" Qin Feiyang shook his head. "I can't be afraid. There are many dangers along the way. It's easy for him to kill us. So before we reach the Danwang Hall, try not to fight with him." "Really? Why don't you look like you're scared?" Fatso looked at him suspiciously. Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes and said, "I'm just pretending to be calm." Fatso seemed to understand, but he still didn't believe it. Because Qin Feiyang's words and actions were too calm, without the slightest hint of nervousness or uneasiness. Of course, Qin Feiyang wasn't afraid. If there was any danger, he would hide in the castle. Who could do anything to him? Qin Feiyang asked, "What's so scary about the Eagle Claw Peak that makes you so scared?" Fatso said, "In the past, not a single person who entered the Eagle Claw Peak came back alive. There were even rumors that said that even the war monarch did not return. Don't you think that's terrifying?" Hearing Fatso's words, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but feel nervous. If the rumors were true, then the danger level of the Eagle Claw Peak was comparable to the Black Bear Mountain. Fatso said, "Oh right, the last time you asked Fat Lord to inquire about the matter, Fat Lord found out that it was the Jiang and Mu families that massacred the Ling family." Qin Feiyang said, "I already know this. Do you know the name of that tigress?" "Of course I do. Her name is Feng Ling Heir. She is in charge of the Martial Imperial Palace's assessment this time. That's why Ling Yunfei and the rest are so afraid of her." "That's not right. Aren't you her fiancé? How come you don't even know her name? Are you pretending to be stupid again?" Fatso's eyes carried a trace of disdain. "Is there a need for me to pretend?" Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Why didn't they believe him? Moreover, with his current relationship with Feng Ling Heir, no matter how he looked at it, it didn't seem like they were engaged. There must be something wrong with these people's brains. Suddenly, a scream was heard. Qin Feiyang and Fatso were shocked. They hurriedly looked up and immediately saw Lu Hong sitting on the ground. Her lips were purple and her face was pale, like a dead person's face. Poisoned. These two words appeared in their hearts at the same time. Get out of the way! Feng Ling Air shouted and slapped the ground with her palm. Boom! The ground exploded and dead branches and leaves flew all over the sky. A poisonous snake as thick as an arm rushed out from the ground, revealing its white fangs. It avoided Feng Ling Air and shot towards Chen Ying. A martial ancestor-level crane-crowned snake. Qin Feiyong's eyes widened. Without any hesitation, he quickly retreated. Fatso ran faster than him. In the blink of an eye, he had escaped more than 10 meters away. I'm here and you still want to overturn the sky? Feng Ling Air snorted and took a step forward. Like a bolt of lightning, she instantly caught up with the crane-crowned snake. Immediately, her jade-like hand shot out. She grabbed the crane-crowned snake's tail and slammed it down. Bang! Hiss! The crane-crowned snake's head hit a rock on the spot and it wailed in pain. Immediately after, Feng Ling Air stepped on the crane-crowned snake's weak spot and firmly pressed it to the ground. She took out a dagger and cut off the crown of flesh on its head and threw it to Su Jian. Su Jian hurriedly fed it to Lu Hong. Her condition immediately began to improve. It could be said that the effect was immediate. But Feng Ling Air's methods were even more shocking. Facing a martial ancestor-level crane-crowned snake, she was actually able to subdue it without batting an eyelid. She was really too valiant. Feng Ling Air glanced at them and asked, "Do you like steamed, fried, or barbecued?" "But I like stewed." Qin Feiyong was stunned. Could it be that this woman was also a foodie? Without waiting for them to answer, Feng Ling Air lowered her head and looked at the crane-crowned snake. She smiled and said, "Little fellow, I'm sorry, but you'll be my dinner tonight." As soon as she finished speaking, she waved the dagger and directly cut off the crane-crowned snake's head. Blood spurted out. Savage. Qin Feiyong muttered in his heart. With such a valiant character, wasn't she afraid that she wouldn't be able to get married? It seemed like she wasn't afraid because there was a thick-skinned person surrounding her and trying to curry favor with her. This person was naturally Lin Chen. Lin Chen quickly ran to Feng Ling and said with a smile, "Ling give it to me first. When I find water, I'll wash it clean. I'll stew a big pot of snake soup for you tonight to nourish you." He seemed to be used to Feng Ling Air's valiance and wasn't surprised at all. "Okay, take it." Feng Ling Air casually threw it to him. With free labor, it would be a waste not to use it. Then she looked at Qin Feiyong and the rest and shouted, "Now, all of you, cheer up. Otherwise, you won't be so lucky next time." After this incident, Qin Feiyong and the rest didn't dare to be distracted. "You and you, go in front and clear the path." Feng Ling Air pointed at Qin Feiyong and Fatso. Fatso's face instantly turned pale. He hurriedly said, "How can this be? Madam, please spare me." Lin Chen smiled and said, "You two listen to Ling Air and clear the path. It's also a training for you." He was very happy now, because he could see that Feng Ling Air was deliberately targeting Qin Feiyong. This meant that there was no relationship between the two of them. However, Fatso was about to explode in anger. "Let's go, don't dawdle." Qin Feiyong patted his shoulder and walked to the front. When he passed by Lin Chen, a cold light flashed in the depths of his eyes. Even a clay bodhisattva has some anger, let alone a human. Once or twice, he could treat it as if it didn't matter. But if it exceeded the limit of his patience, then don't blame him for being impolite. The fierce beasts near the Eagle Claw Peak were very powerful. After a while, the two of them were riddled with scars. Of course, when encountering powerful fierce beasts, Feng Ling Air and Lin Chen didn't dare to be careless and killed them in time. When they arrived at the foot of the Eagle Claw Peak, it was already noon. Not only Qin Feiyong and Lin Chen, but everyone was covered with scars. Because the closer they were to the Eagle Claw Peak, the more fierce beasts there were and the stronger they were. No one could stay out of it. After fighting for several hours, the 8 of them were sitting on top of a huge black rock, panting heavily. Feng Ling Air said, "Quickly heal your wounds. After half an hour, we will go up the mountain." "Go up the mountain?" Qin Feiyong looked up at the peak of the mountain and frowned. With their current state, how long would it take for them to climb up a mountain that was over 1,000 feet tall? The most important thing was, why would they go up the mountain? He hated the feeling of being led by the nose. What was Feng Ling Air planning? After taking a healing pill, he turned around and glanced at the eagle claw peak, his eyes flickering. Whoosh! Suddenly, a streak of black light flashed in his line of sight. What is it? Qin Feiyong was surprised and looked carefully. But in the jungle, he couldn't find anything. Was it an illusion? Maybe it was because of fatigue. But just when he believed that it was an illusion, another black light appeared and disappeared in an instant. He suddenly got up. The first time might be an illusion. But the second time, it was definitely not. He bit his tongue hard and his whole body was instantly energized. Immediately, without saying a word, he jumped down from the boulder and ran towards the place where the black light appeared. What is he doing? Was he driven crazy by senior sister Ling? Seeing this, Ling Yunfei and others were very surprised. Feng Ling-er's eyes were also firmly locked on Qin Feiyong, with a trace of doubt in her beautiful eyes. Suddenly, she also caught a wisp of black light in the jungle, fleeting. We can't let Jiang Haotian take the lead. Feng Ling-er's spirit was refreshed. She quickly jumped down from the boulder and chased after Qin Feiyong. Fatso asked, "What should we do?" Ling Yunfei said angrily, "Nonsense, of course we'll go together." Several people got up one after another, with a head full of doubts, and ran away. At this time, Feng Ling-er had already caught up with Qin Feiyong and said angrily, "Breaking in like this, don't you know it's dangerous here?" Qin Feiyong sneered and said, "Aren't you here too? Let's not beat around the bush. What do you want to do?" Feng Ling-er's pupils shrank. She shook her head and said, "I just want to bring you here to gain experience. There's no other purpose." "I don't think you'll be so kind." Qin Feiyong sneered. The two were as fast as lightning. Feng Ling-er's eyes flashed with a trace of slyness. She suddenly stretched out her hand, grabbed Qin Feiyong's clothes, and threw him back. Qin Feiyong flew out and rolled to the ground more than 10 meters behind. "Damn stinky woman." Qin Feiyong was furious. He got up and looked up. Seeing that Feng Ling-er did not stop and was still running forward, he suddenly sneered. This woman really had a problem. "Jiang Haotian, we've already entered the hinterland of the Eagle Claw Peak. With your strength, rushing to the front is purely to die. Go to the back and stay." Lin Chen caught up, shouted at Qin Feiyong, and chased after Feng Ling-er without looking back. It's still unknown who's going to die. Chapter 115. He wasn't worried at all. Because in front, he could sense several powerful auras. It must be the beasts. When these beasts were alarmed, Feng Ling-er and Lin Chen, who were running in front, would inevitably become the first target of the beasts. However, what was that black light that appeared from time to time? Qin Feiyong could sense the aura of the beasts, so could Feng Ling-er and Lin Chen. Therefore, they were extra careful and tried not to make a big movement. If they could avoid it, they would try to avoid it. However, the beasts still noticed them. Roar! Accompanied by two roars, two colossal creatures rushed over from the distance. At this moment, the earth shook and rumbled. The speed of the two beasts was unbelievably fast. One of them was a giant black panther. It was 4 to 5 meters long and its fur was as black as ink. The fangs in its wide mouth were 1 foot long, like sharp blades, making people tremble with fear. The other beast was a black bull. Its huge body was twice the size of the black panther. Those hairs were like steel needles, emitting a cold light. Especially the two horns on the top of its head, which were several meters long and indestructible. In front of it, there was a huge rock that was bigger than an ordinary house, but in the end, it collapsed. Seeing this, even with Qin Feiyong's temperament, he couldn't help but have the thought of turning around and running away. Not to mention Fatso and the others. They stopped and didn't dare to take another step forward. Their eyes were full of horror. Feng Ling-er also paused. There was a trace of fear in her eyes. But then, she gritted her teeth and pounced on the black panther. At the same time she shouted to Lin Chen, "Help me restrain that black bull." "No problem." His goddess asked for help. Lin Chen couldn't be happier. How could he refuse? He didn't even think about it and directly nodded in agreement. With a rolling aura, he rushed toward the black bull. Good chance. Qin Feiyong's eyes flickered as he rushed forward. Feng Ling-er and the two ferocious beasts had already clashed. The two of them were also very ferocious. They were actually on par with the two ferocious beasts, and it was difficult to determine the victor. A dozen breaths later, Qin Feiyong finally caught up to the two of them. He circled around them and joked, as expected of the outstanding disciples of the Danwang Hall and Martial Emperor Hall. Keep it up, I have high hopes for you guys. Zhang Haotian, stop right there. Feng Ling shouted coldly, extremely angry. Let me give you a word of advice. The person who runs in front is not necessarily the first to reach the finish line. Everything depends on the brain. Forget it, I'm not going to talk nonsense with you. Anyway, you're just a brainless woman with big boobs. Qin Feiyong mockingly glanced at Feng Ling and ran towards the source of the black light without looking back. I have big breasts but no brains? Zhang Haotian, just you wait. Today, I swear I won't stop until I break your bones. Feng Ling was furious. At this moment, she was like a crazy tigress, making the Black Panther unable to bear it. Lin Chen comforted Ling, don't worry. There are still many ferocious beasts lurking in front. If he doesn't know what's good for him, he will definitely die. Can you stop talking nonsense? Quickly finish them off. Feng Ling said angrily. Although that brat was a bastard and very vile, in terms of brains, he was many times stronger than Lin Chen. They were both men, why was the difference so big? In front. Qin Feiyong ran wildly while paying full attention to the movements around him. Boom. Suddenly, not far away, a ferocious beast lifted the ground and shot out. It was actually an extra-large rat. It was a meter long and had dense fangs. It was extremely terrifying. Qin Feiyong's body and mind tensed up as he entered the castle without hesitation. Squeak! The rat missed its target. It cried out anxiously as it looked around in bewilderment. After a while, with a trace of doubt, it rushed towards Feng Ling and Lin Chen. After a while, Qin Feiyong appeared out of thin air again. He let out a long breath and continued to run forward. Next, he encountered another 5 ferocious beasts and repeated the same trick. In the end, the 5 ferocious beasts couldn't find anyone and ran towards the back. What's going on? Why are the ferocious beasts running over? Where's Zhang Haotian? Where is he? Looking at the ferocious beasts running over, Feng Ling was extremely shocked and angry. Lin Chen was also very surprised. Could it be that this person could turn invisible? In addition to the Black Bull and the Black Panther, they now had to face 8 martial ancestor-level ferocious beasts. However, Feng Ling didn't retreat at all. She took out a 3-feet-long sword and was completely in a desperate posture. At this time, Qin Feiyong finally arrived at the place where the black light appeared. He looked around. Other than the trees, bushes and weeds, he didn't find anything strange. Ew. At this moment, on the hillside above, a wolf howl sounded. Qin Feiyong instinctively shouted, "White-eyed wolf, what are you howling for?" He had been with Wolf King for too long. When he heard the wolf howl, his first reaction was to think of Wolf King. But in the next moment, he realized that something was wrong. Wasn't Wolf King in the castle? He suddenly looked up. He saw a black wolf standing on the hillside more than 10 meters high, staring at him fiercely. The black wolf's size was twice as big as Wolf King. The strength of the two was definitely worlds apart. That huge body exuded an incomparable ferocious aura. Qin Feiyong quivered and hurriedly said, "Brother Wolf, we can be considered family, don't fight." The black wolf looked at him suspiciously. Its eyes seemed to be saying, "Where did this fool come from?" Qin Feiyong said, "Brother Wolf, I really didn't lie to you. You and I are really family, because I have a companion by my side. It is a wolf." In order to appease the black wolf, he was also going all out. But the black wolf revealed a look of disbelief. Its ferocious aura was even stronger than before. Its fangs were even exposed, thinking that Qin Feiyong was fooling it. At this moment, Qin Feiyong noticed that a black light swept out from the side of the mountain wall. After reaching the air, it immediately disappeared. This time he saw it clearly. It was not a black light, but a wisp of black smoke. From the Eagle Claw Peak? He was extremely surprised. What was the black smoke? Ew! The black wolf finally lost its patience. With a leap, it pounced towards Qin Feiyong. "Brother Wolf, save me!" Qin Feiyong shouted. With a thought, Wolf King appeared out of thin air. Having found the source of the black smoke, he didn't want to hide and waste time with the black wolf. So now, he could only count on Wolf King. Ayo! As soon as Wolf King came out, it howled at the black wolf. The black wolf was surprised. It steadily landed in front of the man and the wolf and retracted its fangs. Subsequently, the two wolves looked at each other, growling continuously. Seeing that it was endless, Qin Feiyong couldn't help but ask, "White-eyed wolf, what did it say?" Wolf King said, "It asked Brother Wolf, why do you want to be friends with a human like you?" Then it asked where Brother Wolf came from? Anyway, it asked a lot, but it wasn't very important. But it told me that the Eagle Claw Peak was empty, and there was a kind of alchemy fire. Alchemy fire. Qin Feiyong's body and mind trembled. Wolf King said, "That's right, but what?" Qin Feiyong asked hurriedly. Wolf King said, "It said that the alchemy fire has an owner, and the owner of the alchemy fire is inside the Eagle Claw Peak. He is extremely powerful, and all the people who have come here before have been killed by him." Qin Feiyong's pupils suddenly shrank. Originally, when he heard Fatso say that this was a place of no return, he was still skeptical. He didn't expect it to be true. But the alchemy fire. He was too eager. Even this time he was determined to win. The black wolf roared a few more times at Wolf King. Wolf King said, "Little Qin Zi, it told us not to go in, we will die." Qin Feiyong clenched his fists tightly, struggling in his heart. In the end, he clenched his teeth and said in a deep voice, "How can we get a tiger cub without entering the tiger's den? We have the ancient castle to protect us. Let's take a gamble." The two wolves roared at each other. Wolf King said, "It said that the entrance is at the peak of the mountain, but there is a war chief realm ferocious bird on the peak of the mountain. If it finds us, we will still die. Are we going to give up just like that?" Qin Feiyong was extremely frustrated. A war chief realm ferocious bird was even more terrifying than the Black Bear King, because the ferocious bird could fly. Once it flew into the sky, you could only stare. But it could hunt you down at any time. At this time, another wisp of black smoke spewed out from the mountain wall. Seeing this, Qin Feiyong's mind flashed, and he thought of a way. The black wolf said that the Eagle Claw Peak was empty. Since the black smoke could come from here, it meant that there might be a weak point here that could lead to the inside. "Let's do it," Qin Feiyong said, "Make way." The two wolves retreated to the side. The true qi surged, and Qin Feiyong punched the mountain wall with all his might. Soil flew everywhere, and a huge pit appeared. "Ow!" The black wolf immediately growled at Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong asked curiously, "What did it say?" "It said that this method won't work. It might alarm the person inside. At that time, not only will we suffer, even it will be finished." Wolf King acted as a translator. "Then tell it that we can protect it." After Qin Feiyong finished speaking, he entered the pit and punched out again. It became several meters deeper. Cough cough. However, the dust inside made Qin Feiyong cough non-stop, and even breathing was difficult. Boom. He held his breath and crazily bombarded it, forcefully creating a passage. As he went deeper and deeper, the black smoke became thicker and thicker. After about 10 breaths of time, he suddenly punched out a hole with a diameter of 2 meters, and a choking black smoke surged out. The black smoke was too thick, and the scene outside the hole could not be seen. However, when the mud and gravel fell, it would shake and echo for a long time. This meant that there was a large space outside this hole. Qin Feiyong retreated from the passage and came to Wolf King's side. The passage was like a chimney, and black smoke kept pouring out. This place was quickly enveloped and spread to the surrounding void at a rapid speed. Why is there black smoke suddenly coming out from there? Ling Yunfei and the others had already retreated. They stood on the huge rock at the foot of the mountain and looked at the black smoke rising into the sky. They were all shocked and bewildered. "Zhang Haotian, you bastard! I won't forgive you." Feng Ling Er and Lin Chen also noticed it. The former gritted her teeth and was about to go crazy. The latter, like Ling Yunfei and the others, was shocked and bewildered. Chapter 116. Black smoke surged, covering the sky and the sun. Chirp! A high-pitched chirp suddenly sounded from the top of the mountain. "Oh, He Lang's pupils constricted, and it kept growling at Wolf King. Wolf King hurriedly said. Little Qin Zi, it's said that the ferocious birds on the top of the mountain have been alarmed. Before he finished speaking, a huge falcon flapped its pitch-black wings. Like a short mountain, it broke through the layers of black smoke and whistled over. At this moment, whether it was Qin Feiyong, Wolf King, or He Lang, they could not help but feel their hair stand on end. You guys go to the castle. Qin Feiyong made a prompt decision and sent Wolf King and He Lang into the castle. Then, he held his breath and rushed into the black smoke, into the passage and ran inside. Chirp! The falcon whistled over. It flapped its wings and a strong wind blew. The black smoke here was blown away in an instant. When it saw the passage, its long and narrow eyes flashed with a terrifying ferocious light. When its claws fell, the mountain collapsed and the ground cracked. The passage was also collapsing. Qin Feiyong stood at the end of the passage and looked at the space inside. Although a large amount of black smoke was released before, he still could not see clearly. It was a little blurry. At most, he could only see the scenery within 2 meters. Boom! Crack! Seeing the passage collapse, his expression changed drastically. He did not care about what was inside and jumped down from the hole, falling straight down. At the same time, the few ferocious beasts that were fighting with Fengling Air immediately turned around and fled in panic when they saw the falcon appear. Damn it, run! Fengling Air's expression suddenly changed. She shouted at Lin Chen and turned to run outside. What did this little bastard do? Lin Chen cursed in his heart as he fled. Chirp! The falcon was extremely ferocious. It pounced on the rat. Its wings were like sharp blades. As it swept past, large trees fell. The fracture was as flat as a mirror. The rat was also extremely fast, but it could not escape the falcon's pursuit. In the end, the falcon grabbed the mouse with its claws and flew towards the peak of the mountain. In the forest, Fengling Air stopped and looked up at the falcon flying high in the sky, struggling in her heart. When the falcon landed on the mountain peak and disappeared from her sight, she gritted her teeth and turned back, running towards the weak point. It's dangerous. Come back quickly. Lin Chen was shocked and hurriedly chased after him. Inside Eagle Claw Peak, Qin Feiyong continued to fall. He felt as if there was a bottomless pit below him. This won't do. If I fall like this, I'll fall to my death. He reached for the rock beside him. But the impact of the fall was too strong, and he couldn't grab hold of the rock. If he were to use force, his arm and fingers would definitely be dislocated or even broken. This was equivalent to adding fuel to the fire. Therefore, he had to take it slow. He kept reaching out with both hands, grabbing one rock after another. When his fingers reached their limit, he would immediately let go. This cycle continued for a dozen breaths, and the impact of the fall was reduced by more than half. Seeing that the time was ripe, he stretched out his hands again without hesitation and grabbed tightly onto a protruding rock. His falling body finally stopped. What should I do now? Qin Feiyong raised his head and looked up. Then, he lowered his head and looked down. He frowned slightly. Although he had stopped, he could only see things within 2 meters. So he didn't know if the alchemy fire was below or above him. If he went the wrong way, he would undoubtedly waste a lot of time. Is this black smoke related to the alchemy fire? He began to carefully observe the black smoke. Gradually, he found some subtle abnormalities. The black smoke was rising from below. He pondered for a moment. In the end, he decided to go down and take a look. What if the black smoke was really related to the alchemy fire? But not long after, he found another abnormality. Since there was alchemy fire here, there must be a high temperature. But now, he didn't feel any heat at all. In fact, he felt a little cold. That's right. Black Wolf said that alchemy fire had an owner. The owner could control the temperature of the alchemy fire. Thinking of this, a trace of vigilance appeared in his eyes. A person who could own an alchemy fire was definitely a terrifying powerhouse. Perhaps this person was hiding in the dark and spying on him right now. Boom! Not long after, a series of rumbling sounds came from the weak point above. Qin Feiyong frowned. Without thinking, he knew that it must be Fengling Air coming. Like him, she also planned to blast a passage through the weak point. I can't let her catch up, he muttered to himself. He used his hands and feet. Like an ape, he leaped onto the roof and vaulted over the wall. His speed was unbelievably fast. About 5 or 6 breaths later, Fengling Air and Lin Chen blasted open the weak point. Standing at the edge of the hole, they looked at the internal space in surprise. A large piece of mud and gravel rolled down, smashing on Qin Feiyong's head. It made him furious. Lin Chen asked in disbelief, "There's actually another world in the Eagle Claw Peak." "Ling how did you know? Aren't you annoying?" Fengling Air raised her eyebrows. Lin Chen smiled embarrassedly. "Then should we go up or down?" Fengling Air said, "I don't know if that thing is above or below." "That thing?" Lin Chen was surprised. Could it be that there was some treasure hidden inside? Chirp! A sharp eagle cry sounded. That falcon once again swooped down from the mountain peak. Fengling Air's gaze darkened. "The black smoke is rising from below. Let's go down and take a look." The two immediately moved. The falcon once again blocked the passage and flew towards the mountain peak. It felt like it was the guardian of this place. Bang bang bang. Fengling Air and Lin Chen's strength was too strong. Rocks were constantly being crushed by them. However, Qin Feiyong, who was below, was suffering. Occasionally, he would be hit in the head by the gravel. "Can you guys be gentler?" Qin Feiyong could not help but angrily shout. "He also went down?" Fengling Air frowned and said loudly, "Zhang Haotian, this place is too dangerous. You can't do it alone. Let's work together." "Not interested." Qin Feiyong indifferently replied. "Zhang Haotian, don't fail to appreciate my kindness." Lin Chen shouted. He retreated while bombarding the stone wall. Pieces of gravel of different sizes poured down like raindrops. This made Qin Feiyong extremely angry. But the trouble was still to come. Fengling Air and Lin Chen's cultivation was higher than his. Although they were also crawling on the stone wall, their speed was definitely faster than his. As expected. In less than 10 breaths, Fengling Air and Lin Chen caught up. Fengling Air joked, "You're right. The person who runs at the front is not necessarily the first to reach the finish line." Qin Feiyong said, "Yes, I did say that. But whether that thing is down there is still unknown. What are you so proud of?" "You know?" Fengling Air was surprised. Qin Feiyong said, "Is it strange?" Fengling Air said in a deep voice, "Where did you know?" "This is not a question you should be concerned about. You should think about how to explain to everyone when you go out. After all, you are using everyone." Qin Feiyong sneered. Fengling Air brought them to the Eagle Claw Peak. She definitely wanted to use them as bait to distract the falcon's attention, and she would take the opportunity to enter here. Fengling Air frowned, shaking her head. "You are wrong. I am not using you. I just want to see if there is a chance. If there is not, I will immediately take you away. Do you think I will still believe you?" Qin Feiyong mocked. "You are really unreasonable. Since you don't believe me, then we will rely on our own abilities." Fengling Air snorted coldly. With a slide, she disappeared from Qin Feiyong's sight. Lin Chen glanced at Qin Feiyong and quickly chased down. And Qin Feiyong was puzzled. Fengling Air did not take precautions at all. Didn't she know that the alchemy fire had an owner? If this is the case, then it is not bad to let her take the lead. Qin Feiyong raised the corner of his mouth and sneered. "It is the alchemy fire." About 20 breaths passed. Below, there was a sudden exclamation. It was Lin Chen who exclaimed, "It is really below." Qin Feiyong was ecstatic, but he was more vigilant than before. The alchemy fire was below, which meant that the owner of the alchemy fire must be below. "Kiki, you finally came down." The next moment, at the bottom, there was another sinister laugh. Qin Feiyong's body stiffened. It seemed that this person had already discovered them. In this case, they would go down and meet this mysterious person. Because if they wanted to escape now, they would definitely not be able to. After a few breaths, his sight was finally clear. However, when he saw the scene at the bottom, he could not help but feel a chill down his spine. The bottom was very large and round, with a diameter of dozens of meters. And on the ground dozens of meters, there were piles of white human bones. "Is this hell?" Qin Feiyong jumped down and stood on the white bones. Looking at all this, he could not help but feel a chill down his spine. Fengling Air and Lin Chen were standing at the side at this moment, staring at the opposite side, their faces full of horror. Ah! I thought you were going to run away? I didn't expect you to take the initiative to come down. Are you not afraid of death? That sinister voice came from the opposite side. Qin Feiyong looked up and immediately saw an old man standing at the center of the bottom. The old man's hair was disheveled, and he was skinny. He wore a black robe, and his eyes were deep in the eye sockets. His eyeballs emitted wisps of dark green light. At first glance, he looked like a ghost. Seeing the old man, Qin Feiyong could not help but feel a deep sense of fear in his heart. But when he noticed the alchemy fire beside the black-robed old man, the fear in his heart instantly turned into desire. It was actually a kind of black alchemy fire. It was the size of a baby's palm, and it floated in the void on its own. Wisps of black flames were frantically moving, as if it was beckoning to him. The black smoke also came from the alchemy fire. And here, there seemed to be an invisible aura that isolated the black smoke. Hee, you actually dare to ignore my words, kid. You've got guts. The black-robed old man laughed sinisterly, and the green light in his old eyes became more and more intense, more and more terrifying. Qin Feiyong was shocked, and looked away from the alchemy fire with difficulty. He turned to look at the black-robed old man and cupped his hands. Greetings, senior. Senior? The black-robed old man was stunned and said playfully, Don't think that I will let you go just because you call me senior. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.